Okay, good evening, folks. We're going to be having a 2-4 of sorts tonight. We're going to be asking the obvious question, which is behind me on the monitor. In regards to the documents that were seized from Trump's private home in Mar a Lago, what did he have and why? Obviously, a lot of this is speculation going on what we're hearing from either the news sources and, of course, Trump himself. They just released information just yesterday suggesting that President Trump had in his possession the nuclear capabilities of foreign nations. Now, why would he have that in his possession? We're going to be talking about that. User, in regards to Steve Bannon, we are certainly going to be talking about that as well. Those are our two topics tonight: the saga of Steve Bannon and what the hell is coming to fruition from these documents. Right off the bat, I'm going to ask you to tap the screen, get your likes up, or whatever the hell we normally do here. I appreciate that from both my liberals and my patrons, but I want to play a clip from you, a clip to you. Now, this is from Bill O'Reilly, formerly known of Fox News fame, pretty much the juggernaut of the network at times, at the time, and a very, very long-term friend, personal friend of Donald Trump. I want to play this audio clip for you guys. And this is in regards to Bill O'Reilly suggesting that he has inside knowledge, inside contacts into the Trump campaign and including Trump himself. And this is what he has suggested that he found out in regards to what happened at Mar-a-Lago.
That's going to cause problems for
Now,
the Biden administration and the Justice Department. So over the vacation, I did some sleuthing. I like sleuthing. And I have good contacts, as you know. And I found out some very interesting things. There is no question that classified documents were taken from the White House down to Mar-a-Lago. They were. They were packed up, chronicled, and sent by an unknown individual or individuals with an S. The White House knows, the Trump White House knows who they are, but I can't pry it out of them. They would not tell me. I believe the names on the initial warrant to raid Trump's home are those people. Or maybe there's just one, but I suspect there's a couple. So, documents that were classified were removed. That is a fact in stone. But did Donald Trump specifically order classified documents? Yes, take that, take this, take that.
Okay, let me stop it real quick. As Bill O'Reilly suggested, documents that were classified was taken from Trump's home. As Bill O'Reilly stated, that was etched in stone. This is a Bill O'Reilly, or better yet, a friend of President Trump. Now, he's stating that there were classified documents taken from Trump's home. The reason I paused the video is because Trump has adamantly stated that the documents were declassified. So, and by the way, in addition to Bill O'Reilly, for however you guys feel about Bill O'Reilly, Trump's attorneys are in court defending him as of last week. And one of the things they are not stating is that the documents are declassified. So even Trump's very own legal team is not using that these documents were declassified as a defense. That is something that President Trump and his camp is telling you and I, John Q. Public, the voters, but they're not arguing that in court. Why is that? Now, I'm going to let Bill O'Reilly continue. This is a short clip, but I just want to analyze this coming from Bill O'Reilly.
Again, I can't get clarification on that, but for me, that's not what happened because Donald Trump doesn't operate that way. He doesn't go over documents and sit down there and pour over them, take this, take that, don't take this. That's not what he does. Did he get a master list? I guess maybe he did. I don't know. This is important because of criminal intent. So if people in the White House, packed up classified documents, sent them down, and Trump didn't order that, there's no criminal intent. So I get.
Okay, so he's suggesting that it's possible that someone else sent President Trump documents that were part of the Trump's team that President Trump did not order himself. First, the obvious question is, how the hell is that possible? How can you get top secret documents sent to the president home that he did not want? It would have to be someone authorized to act as you. Maybe he has some type of legal, someone that legally has the right to sign his signature or whatever. When we're talking about the nature of these documents, this should be pretty easy to prove who brought the documents to his house. Now, what Bill O'Reilly is stating there, in my opinion, is fucking ridiculous. And I got nothing but respect for Bill O'Reilly. I followed the guy for 20 years. Guy's very intelligent. The notion that he's throwing something out there like this is crazy. You can be in the Trump camp. You can defend MAGA. My audience is primarily MAGA. I love speaking of MAGA. But you don't have to say something that sounds so crazy that no one is going to believe that. He's suggesting that Trump has documents in his personal possession that he does not know about, nor possibly did not even send for. Now, regardless of which side of the conversation you're on in regards to whether Trump is guilty or not, we can debate that in the box. When the FBI suggests that Trump is indeed a security risk, even if what Bill O'Reilly is saying is true, it would also verify what the FBI is saying. This is a mess, folks. The president he's suggesting that the president may have highly classified documents in his possession that he did not order nor even know were in his possession. He has foreign dignitaries. There's a Chinese spy that got arrested at Mar-a-Lago. We just found out recently that there is a Ukrainian-born Russian-speaking woman that was using a complete alias at his resort in Mar-a-Lago. So everybody who is anybody has access to Trump, including fans, politicians, and all of that. And here he is suggesting that he has highly classified documents that were not in a very locked or well-protected compartment, and all of these people were in and out of there. Even if Trump is 100% innocent, he is a security risk. There's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying with all of the different types of folks coming from all over the world going into his home, onto his resort, and he has the documents there that are not secure at the same time. Yeah, this is a mess. But I wanted to bring that to you. So we're going to go straight to the box. I'm going to talk about Steve Bannon in a moment. But I'm going to take a caller from the box. I got a clip I want you guys to hear. All right. Looking at the box, we're going to go straight to Mark, frequent viewer of the program, friend of the program. Welcome back, Mark.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. What do you think this man was actually doing with these documents in his home? Is it as Bill O'Reilly suggests, is it possible that he's not even responsible for them arriving there?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, him and Bill O'Reilly went on like a tour together. Like they're buds. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
The funnier part to me, I guess I don't know. I do like entertaining the theory that Trump is that dumb that he just like didn't know it was there or whatever. But that is obviously not the case. Yeah, that's obviously not the case when the feds are, knocking your door down. But yeah, it's just no. He has soldiers. Trump has soldiers. He has people who are loyal to him. Like everyone's like, oh, have you seen 2,000 Mules? And I'm like, oh, who made that? Kash Patel. Oh, weird. A member of the Trump administration made the document. It's like, weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is going to get worse before it gets better. Because, as you get closer to, I always use the metaphor of a cornered dog, like the teeth come out, the hair stands up, and like as you get closer, it gets just scarier and scarier, so like you're going to see all the Republican, like chest thumping and, as like Bill Barr said over the last couple of days, dude. I don't know why I don't know what bee got in his bonnet, but man, he is firing off against Trump, which is actually so interesting to me. That
Well, you gotta look at the condition in which Bill Barr retired at the end of the Trump administration.
right,
Trump
right,
ridiculed that guy for him not protecting Trump in the election.
yeah,
He treated Bill Barr almost as bad as Mike Pence. So Bill Barr had the reason to go back at him.
yep. Yeah, no, for sure, and that's, I mean, again, that's mob tactics, right? Like people are your best friend until they're not useful to you anymore, and you just cut them,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, that's how like cases always get uh, slammed because you pissed off the wrong person. Somebody knew, somebody got pretty high up, and when you treat them like trash and just everyone gets a silly nickname to Trump, after they're gone, or so I'm not sure what he's calling Bill Barr, but. Um, it's yeah. If you oh, Bill Barr said that the raid was justified because Trump jerked around the feds, and so yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like he doesn't know
Yeah.
he doesn't have the box. Bill Riley is lying through his teeth.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said during my little monologue there, I highly respect Bill O'Reilly. I've watched his show most of the years he was on until he left in 2017. I used to debate him on the radio until he got off air in 2009. I used to call this program and talk to him all the time on air. And I'm just listening to him like, you realize how ridiculous this sounds that you're suggesting that the president of the United States is in possession of documents that he does not even know about while having all these people in and out of his house. And by the way, none of that explains why the moment they seized these documents, he yelled out they're declassified. If you don't know you have them, how can you know they're declassified?
Yeah, I personally love watching it.
Yeah. To me, it's almost like you see some of these shows like Live PD or Cops, and they pat a guy down, and all of a sudden a crack rock falls out of his pocket, and he goes, "Well, that ain't mine." But it's not a crime because if you test it, it's only soap anyway. Well, if it's not yours, how do you know what it is?
Yeah,
And
like
that's
that.
the same thing.
The first
Yeah,
couple days that it all came out, first it was like I don't have anything. Then okay, I did have some stuff, and then but it's declassified, and then or Obama has some too. It just, man, it just and all this stuff is on tape. All of this, Tucker Carlson or whoever on Fox, it all gets recorded. And
yeah.
so it'll be a fun like retrospective when because again it's just going to keep getting worse. Like people in the military will tell you they don't screw around with documents. If a low level employee of any kind has government documents, they would get thrown in Leavenworth, and they know that. And so this isn't something that it might wait till after the election. It might get dragged out for years, yada yada yada. But there is a consequence coming for him.
What
And
about okay? What about in the comments? I got John Skirtage is saying you're ignoring how many times the DOJ changed their story. So what about the notion that you can't trust the feds or the federal government because they presented different angles? Now, I'm not aware in regards to the documents they seized from Trump's home. I'm not aware of them changing their story at all. But he's suggesting that you can't take the DOJ's word because they've changed the story a bunch of times.
No, that's hogwash. That's the DOJ has gone step by step. They've followed the process. If anything, they've given Trump a lot of deference. Like the fact that they were like, please give us these documents. We know you have these documents. You have this time. I feel like, but I will say it is very important that they do not screw this up.
Yeah.
They
Well,
do need to give
as
him.
John is alluding to right now, you can't trust them because they're changing their stories or what. Yeah,
No,
they
no,
are
no.
certainly being watched and heavily scrutinized, particularly by MAGA. So I agree with that.
For sure. Oh
Thank
yeah,
you
for
for that
sure.
praise. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then to like see, like as they're kind of out there taking their marching orders. Okay, what does Daddy Trump need today? What am I gonna say to get egg on my face in a week? Like all this
Wow.
stuff is it just yeah. DOJ is not changing their story. Fox runs out there every night to try and justify it. And so they are the ones putting words in the DOJ's mouth, and that person is obviously buying their narrative hook, line, and sinker.
But where did which leads to the question in regards to what John talked about, changing stories. Where did the notion that the documents were declassified? Like the day these documents were seized, Trump himself, yeah, I believe he tweeted out or used his Truth Social network and said the documents are declassified. Someone should have got their hands on them.
Yep.
That's when they always tell you you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Somebody should have told him, don't say shit until you first figure out what they're trying to do. So now
Oh,
he's actually stuck to that comment. So he can't claim, well, he didn't know about the documents or anything because you already yelled out they're declassified.
I declare bankruptcy. Yeah, so Trump has the right to remain silent. He just doesn't have the ability. Like,
Yeah, that sounds like
when was the last time Trump listened to his counsel and shut the fuck up? Being
I
his
don't
lawyer,
even
man.
know. I think he yelled it out so quick. I don't even think they had time to tell him, man, to say
Right.
anything. I don't know where that
It's because
came from.
he knew he fucked up. He knew he
Yeah.
messed up, so he had to just put it out there immediately. I declassified them in my own head. Whatever. This is dumb. It's oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
but now
man.
you
It's
got to
so
answer for that. Now
yeah.
he has to answer for when you said the documents are declassified. What were you talking about? Like, what documents are you talking about that you have in your possession that are declassified? Now he actually has to answer. He's put himself on the hook for that statement.
Yep. Everything about this is perfectly Trump, right? It's like you
Yeah.
had something you shouldn't have. It looks really bad. It could potentially be, like a matter of like national security, and it's all out of like he could have declassified. I'm sure. The thing that I hate hearing, I hate how much I hear that word on the internet because it does not matter if they're declassified or not. The charges
Right.
are for obstruction of justice and espionage. And
Yeah.
point blank. I just don't even engage in a declassification like argument. I don't need to do that with anyone.
Well, the more it comes out, it's looking like he's going to have a hell of a time getting out of this. It looks like he's dug himself a very, very deep hole. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it is Trump. Trump is known to escape a lot of shit. But
Right.
what do you think? I mean, what would
No,
be the purpose if you had to speculate? What do you think was his purpose in having this stuff?
I actually think they're documents of pride. If we're ruling out that like he was selling secrets to Mohammed bin Salman or Russia or whatever,
Right.
I'm just going to take that off the table, right? That's the easy go-to. That's what the people in the comments, want me to jump to, so they can, they say it's like a conspiracy. So I think, sorry, I got
Mark
that.
time.
I think they were documents
You went on
out
mute.
of pride. I think they were documents that he was somehow involved with, right? Like the Time news cover you can see in that picture, right? I think they were kind of like ego, maybe like they always say like his letter from Kim Jong Un or whatever. Like I think it's stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that.
wait a minute. We're talking about the nuclear capabilities of foreign nations. We're talking about
Right.
spies operating on behalf of the United States overseas. That doesn't fit that narrative. I can understand a letter from Kim Jong Un. That makes more sense. But why would you need documents about a spy that's currently operating on behalf of the U.S. overseas or the nuclear capabilities of some of the foreign nations out there? Why would you need that? That goes above ego.
Sure. No, yeah. I guess I was just trying. I guess I'm trying to give him too much credit. I don't know, like that. It's like documents like he that make him look good, or a big thing that he did, or someone dying under somebody, whatever. Like trying to like claim, or I don't know. I don't know why he had it. It was a dumb thing. He knew he shouldn't have it. So I was like, what could be in that box, right? That he wouldn't turn it over, even though the FBI knew he had it. And I
Yeah.
can't answer that question. Again, it's just like it's so perfectly Trumpian, like how either like I don't know,
It's a
yeah.
mystery. It's a mystery. All
The
right,
Bannon.
Mark.
Well, I was going to ask about the Bannon stuff real quick. Sorry, if you want to kick me off, I'm good. But
No, go ahead. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute.
Well, it's just another kind of like, if we're going to keep rolling, man. It's like, well, one, finally we get to see somebody in handcuffs, and Bannon kind
Yeah.
of coined that whole like Trump ethos of like, when there's a scandal, you just make so much noise. You have to do something every day. You need to you need to toss red meat to the base. You need to give Tucker and Laura and Hannity like something to talk about, and you need marching orders. People need marching orders. And so Bannon's whole thing was flood the zone with shit, right? The Democrats aren't the enemy, the media is the enemy. And the way that you do that is through chaos. And so honestly, it's just karma. It's like with Alex Jones and his lawsuit. It's like
Yeah.
Trumpism will kill you. Have you seen Steve Bannon's face? The dude is pure hate. Like, he looks like a potato you forgot in the back of the pantry.
He looks like what you would expect Epstein to look like. He looks like that type of guy.
Right.
The Epstein
Exactly.
guy. Yeah, that's what you would expect a guy with Epstein's record
Yep.
to look like. Give him a white van and he looks like
Yep.
that type of guy.
And that's Trump's brain trust, man. And he stole the thing he's in jail for is stealing $25 million from Trump voters. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Again, it's just like chef's kiss, like, mwah, this is great. It's just I'm on cloud nine over here, man. You move on to somebody else, because whoo, buddy.
Good talk, Mark. Good talk. Catch you
It's
later.
live by the mob, die by the mob.
Something like that. Catch you later. All right, and I'm in regards to Steve Bannon. I did have a clip I wanted you guys to hear. This is from ABC News. Now, Steve Bannon was obviously brought out in cuffs. Photo of him walking out in cuffs and things like that today. This is a clip from yesterday, right before he turned himself in, that really explains, what is it, 2 minutes? I want you to hear this, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Charged Bannon and 3 colleagues with pocketing.
Bannon, expected to surrender to authorities in New York tomorrow to face charges believed to be involved in the group called We Build the Wall, promising donors across the U.S. their own bricks in a wall at the southern border with their names on them. So where did the money go? Here's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, Donald Trump's former advisor, Steve Bannon, preparing to surrender to law enforcement authorities here in New York. Bannon expected to face new charges in connection with a group called We Build the Wall, which raised $25 million to build a section of President Trump's border wall, much of that money coming from small donors.
They see that this is a way that they can take action to actually, make happen a physical barrier on the southern border and support President Trump and what President Trump's trying to do.
The group promised each donor an actual brick in the wall with their name on it.
You're not going to last forever, but your brick will.
Organizers pledging every penny raised would go towards construction.
100% of your money goes towards the wall. It's not going to line someone's pocket.
But it wasn't true. In 2020, the Justice Department charged Bannon and 3 colleagues with pocketing hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations, spending it on themselves. But before Bannon's trial could even begin, President Trump threw him a lifeline, pardoning him on his very last day in office. Bannon's associates weren't so lucky. 2 are facing years in prison after pleading guilty to wire fraud and conspiracy, and the 3rd will soon be going on trial.
Okay, I want to stop it there. Now, I hear all the time, Hunter Biden's laptop. How the hell could you vote for someone like Hunter Biden? I hear all the time about crooked Hillary and literally a host of things that folks believe she's done that indicate she is corrupt. I want to find out from my MAGA folks in regards to stuff like that. Appreciate the flames there. Marilyn, thank you. I will have to ask the same question. Now, you got to assume, and I'm going straight back to the box. I'm not going to bloviate too long. But you would have to assume with a fair bit of certainty, anyone willing to pay for a brick with their name on it to put on the wall to secure America from illegal immigrants coming in from the southern border, you'd have to assume almost certainly that they are, at the very least, a Republican, but highly likely to be MAGA. Now, here's a clear example of one of President Trump's closest associates ripping off, not liberals, MAGA, and Trump pardoning him. And you don't hear anything from Trump supporters, suggesting that how could you pardon a guy that ripped us off? Now, obviously, President Trump's primary campaign promise was to drain the swamp. Steve Bannon didn't have a job in Washington until Trump brought him along and gave him one. That sounds pretty damn swampy to me. Why is MAGA not holding Trump accountable for pardoning this guy? Can anyone give me any legitimate reason why Trump should have pardoned Steve Bannon for ripping off his own supporters? Modern colonizer on deck. Program. End of the program. Modern colonizer. What say you?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Bannon. I mean, when I make statements that sound like they are in support of Trump, it is not some blind.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not some blind
no, but
alliance.
I get not being a friend of. Yeah, I get not being a friend. I get not being a supporter of Bannon. But can you give me any legitimate reason why Trump would pardon him for doing this?
The same reason every president pardons people of questionable character.
Which is?
Take care of their friends.
But he was supposed to drain the swamp, not pardon them.
Yeah. I mean,
so what happened?
That's his campaign slogan, absolutely. I don't think he drained any bit of the swamp. Maybe he did even add to it with some unsavory characters.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, because Steve Bannon, when Trump came along stating that he was going to drain the swamp, Steve Bannon could not have been a swamp character because he wasn't operating in Washington. Trump brought him along, gave him a Washington job, and he clearly is a swamp creature. I mean, like I said, we can say what we want about Hunter Biden's laptop or crooked Hillary Clinton, but you got to hold Trump accountable for that swamp-like move. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know, the thing for me is, though, and both parties do this, everybody does this, okay? But it's real big on the liberal side right now. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, right? At least with Bannon, we're having an investigation and there's some handcuffs on. With Trump, you guys are getting your investigation. When it comes to Hillary, yeah, she testified in Congress and said at this point, what does it matter? And we said, okay, I guess it is old news. We'll just leave you alone, right? Nobody gives a flying fuck about the Secretary of State having a server in her home. Do you think her home was any more or less protected than Mar-a-Lago?
Well, I've said before on the program, if you want to deflect to Hillary Clinton, I've said before on the program that we gave her in my opinion, we gave her a pass. Now, she did testify, just like with the Russian impeachment deal. She was found not guilty. If you want to suggest that Trump didn't do anything wrong because he survived the impeachment, you got to give Hillary Clinton the same courtesy because she survived her investigation. And I will have to add, if Hillary Clinton was so guilty, Trump whispered in her ear during the debate, if I'm president, you will be in jail. He served 4 years as president and not even a single investigation. If you want to hold folks accountable for Hillary Clinton not being charged for what she did, you can't just blame the liberals. You got to blame the damn president of the United States. You got to blame that on Trump, right?
Yeah, he banned bump stocks. He's one of the most anti-two-way presidents we've had in a long time. I mean, he ranks up there with any Democrat president you've put in office in the last, however many decades, right? He didn't drain the swamp. He didn't hold Hillary accountable. There's plenty of things I don't like about what Trump did, right? Okay. But my personal life, my ability to run a business was better under Trump. That is where my support starts and ends for him. If you don't mind, somebody in the comments said, some whataboutisms when it comes to him pardoning Bannon. So I Googled questionable presidential pardons. Did you know that Clinton pardoned his half brother, Roger Clinton, who was convicted in 1985 of cocaine trafficking? I mean,
Listen, I don't. Let me just say this. I'm not going to go back to defending Clintons from the '90s. I'm sure we can, because the Clintons. There's a reason why people call them corrupt, but I don't want to go so far off the program. Before you know it, we're pointing to bad pardons by Ronald Reagan and people throughout history. I mean,
sorry to cut you off. All I wanted to point out is just get rid of the entire pardon system, right? It's always.
But wait a minute. Wasn't that what Trump suggested that we were doing by electing him? He was going to drain the swamp. He was not a typical politician. We've too long dealt with politicians that have gotten lifelong appointments. Here comes a guy that is different from all of that. Now that he is getting caught up and being accused of doing literally the exact same shit, the only defense is to say, well, other people did it too. You were supposed to be different from the other people, not get elected and become one of them.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think he accomplished anything in that regard to what he campaigned on, and he will never get credit for me on it. It's just this idea that, I mean, when's the last time you saw the trial happen? Then they found the charge. Now they're looking for the evidence. And I know the January 6th hearings are different than exactly what's going on right now, but just none of this is going down in the order that you see a normal criminal investigation go down.
But what's so new about that? You got Trump supporters yelling, "Lock Hillary Clinton up." She hasn't been found guilty or convicted of anything. They're doing the exact same thing. They're already suggesting that she be locked up, and there's no crime that's been confirmed. That's right. What we do in politics.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that's politics. We don't even care about people in orange jumpsuits. We just need to convict them in the eye of public opinion. Yeah. And that's what all they're doing to Trump right now is convict him in the eye of public opinion and keep him from running again. And that right there is as Gestapo as you get when you talk about crushing political opposition. I mean,
well,
if the only goal is to keep him running.
But why would he have these classified documents in his possession? What was the purpose of that?
I don't know.
I mean, that is a legitimate question to ask.
Right. Maybe we should have an investigation and a trial, and then we'll be able to answer that question. Was it for presidential library shit? I don't know. Was it selling nuclear secrets to the enemy? I don't know. You know why I don't know? Because I'm not in there in this speculation. And I know we're just having a good conversation and semi-entertainment stuff like that. But a lot of people are taking what the fuck comes off the news as gospel. And they go, oh my God, look, there's people walking around Mar-a-Lago, some Ukrainian. You don't think Trump's been banging Eastern European chicks his whole life? Of course he's going to walking around.
Wait a minute. Hold on. He's a true blue American patriot that the evangelicals love. Are you suggesting that he's still cheating on his wife? Is that what you're trying to indicate?
All I'm gonna say
is
if I'm a man in that position, I'm probably not monogamous. I'm gonna have fun. If I got $1 billion, man, all morals are off the table, brother.
So when he suggested, I gotta throw this out there since you talked about money and morals off the table, and I don't disagree with you. What about the idea when he suggested he could grab women by the you-know-what? Do you think a guy worth $10 billion has to come up with dick tales, lying on your dick, making up stories? Or do you believe a guy with $10 billion, when he says he banged chicks, he actually did it?
Well, I'm not 100% sure I followed the line of the question, but I'll just retort with people with money have sex thrown at them regularly, regardless of looks or their character, anything like that.
Okay, let me explain it to you. When a guy is worth $10 billion and he tells you any story in the last, folks say, remember, it was supposed to be locker room talk about him grabbing women by the you-know-what. The point I'm trying to make is if you got $10 billion, You do not have to lie on your dick. If you tell me that you've had 20 women at once, if you're worth $10 billion, it's probably true. I don't care. You could be the ugliest ogre there is. If you got $10 billion, you can make all of those stories genuinely come true. The point I'm trying to make is that a $10 billion guy, that ain't locker room talk. That shit happened. As you just pointed out, women throw shit at you. So when you talk about people making things up to protect folks, that whole locker room talk thing was a farce. If that man said he did that with his own television show, $10 billion, he got gold toilets, and his name is all over property all over the world. If that man says he did anything, he is not lying on his dick. You don't have to make up cocktails when you're worth $10 billion. Do you get my spiel?
Absolutely. And I never said he made any of it up. I'm saying when you're worth $10 billion, you're going to have a lot of women who the only thing, their fishing lure that's hanging out is that one thing. They're not speaking to you with their love and their eloquence.
No, I agree.
I agree. You can either grab it or not. That's, I mean,
okay.
You know, and I know the clock's ticking and you're ready to move on and stuff, but you know, we talk about these whataboutisms, and often you and many other people who are against Trump state these whataboutisms. Well, what about the way he treated Obama, and what about this, what about that? And when we bring it up, a whataboutism,
I don't. Wait, no, hold on. I'm not bringing up how he treated Obama as a whataboutism. I'm bringing it up as an answer when folks say it was wrong for Trump to be targeted the moment he got in office. And I'm just simply saying it's not whataboutism. That is the reason why he was targeted, is when Trump came down the escalator and announced he was running for office, he already had a hell of a lot of beef on him. So you can't win and expect things to go smoothly after you've been talking about everybody for so long. That's the point I was making. Go ahead.
Fair enough. And you've made that statement on multiple occasions, and I agree where you're coming from. It's just there is a lot of whataboutisms that you're not allowed to speak of if you're a Trump supporter. You know, if we go, what about Hillary? People go, you know what? We don't want to hear about whataboutisms. We want, you know, and it's like, I get it, but you're just not even bring it up. It is so hushed up under the rug, like some dirty, deep family secret you're just not allowed to bring up. But when it's Trump, we can go whataboutisms all day long. And I just don't get it. I just don't get the hypocrisy.
As you saw, I had no problem entertaining when you brought up Hillary Clinton. I had no problem giving my spiel on Hillary Clinton as well. But whataboutisms is just part of political talk. But as you know, modern colonizer, I do got to move it on.
Yes, sir.
Good talk.
Hey, Jan, always.
You say what you say?
Oh, I just said thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, brother.
Absolutely. Have a good evening. All right, looking into the comments, and I always give everybody a chance to get their point across. I don't block. I do not censor. My audience is primarily MAGA. Obviously, my name indicates what side of the political aisle I lean on. However, doesn't matter what you have to say. If TikTok will allow you to say it, you will not be banned, blocked, or even have your time limited on this program for stating your point. I encourage civil discourse from both sides. Real quick in the comments, Rich3545 referred to your humble correspondent as a liar. When I stated that you do not have to make up lies on your dick when you're worth $10 billion, he suggested that Trump said he could grab women. He didn't say he did. And he's calling me a liar for saying it. My point is this. How the hell would you know you can grab women in such a manner, which is essentially a felony, if you haven't done it before? How would you know you could do that if you have not done it? That is essentially sexual assault. There's no way you're going to say, I know I could sexually assault her if you haven't done it. So when he says he can grab women by the you-know-what, you're going to indicate that he hasn't done it to any of these women. He just know he could assault them. Yeah, all right. Have some Kool-Aid on me, sir. All right, looking in the comments. It's not a felony if they consent. Shout out to R. Kelly there. Well, that says "Get Over It" media. It's not a felony if they consent. Kind of reminds me of the hit song "Seems Like She's Ready." Seems like you're ready by R. Kelly. I never thought about it. Yeah, oh, stop. You guys in the comments are crazy. Trump is a horrible man. DeSantis for president. Chicago hot sauce. Love the name. If Trump were to step aside and endorse Ron DeSantis for 2024, I think you guys will be onto something. Telling you that as a liberal, I lean left on my politics, but I'm willing to call a spade no matter who the hell is dealing. And I will contend that if Ron DeSantis, with Trump's endorsement, Trump holding rallies around the country, and other Republicans united behind Ron DeSantis, I think he would have a good. He would be very, very competitive. However, you got to get some of the Trump isms, even if Trump is not on the ticket. You got to get some of the Trump isms away from your party, such as QAnon theories. That shit's got to go away. You got to stop talking about rehashing the 2020 election. Just as Chris Christie stated in his book, you got to point out the flaws of the Biden administration, the economy, inflation, the price at the pump, and just simply talk about what you can do to make it better. If you want to bring up the economy under the Trump administration was better, you can do all of that. But bringing up all that divisive shit over and over and over again at rallies all over the country, good luck with that. All right, looking in the comments. Betty, we're going straight back to the box. This is William Dara. Sounds like a new caller. Maybe I'm wrong. Happy to have you on. Good evening, William.
I froze.
William, are you with us? Good evening. William, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
It just froze for some reason.
Okay. All right, I got you now. What's on your mind this evening? Good evening.
I saw that advertisement. I went up on your TikTok and stuff, and I saw that video about that guy just went off on you, right? I don't know if I can change the subject, could I?
Yeah, you're good. You're talking about, I say this all the time. I am a huge proponent. The primary goal of my program is the protection of the First Amendment. Everyone has a right to free speech, whether I agree or not. And at my first video he's alluding to is a caller cussing me the hell out. You're stating you saw that. What did you think?
Oh, I went up on YouTube. I went in like 3 minutes and I just got triggered and I had to switch it off. And I went back in the comments on that video on TikTok and I was like, well, if you have like inner city, some of the inner cities have metal detectors in their schools, right?
Yeah.
I guess that that was back in the 90s. I remember that. I'm 42. I remember that was a hot ticket on ABC. Well,
okay.
If you have metal detectors and your kids are going to be a soft target, which is true. And he turned around and said the security guards should be the soft targets. Nah, nobody should be a soft target. Everybody should have respect for each other in this country. You should not have to look over your shoulder to. Well, and today's standards, it's a little different, But
yeah,
Joe Clark.
Go ahead.
Joe Clark in New Jersey, he got arrested for locking the doors to keep the drugs out of his school.
Yeah, you're talking about Joe Clark from the 1986 movie Lean on Me, where he was dealing with drug dealer students and things like that, and he put chains on the door and they locked them. They actually arrested him because it was a fire hazard. I believe the doors, though, in modern schools, you could open them from the inside, if I'm correct. It's just you can't get into them from the outside. If a student, for instance, wanted to run downstairs and let in an active shooter, I believe they could do it just by simply pushing the door. I don't think the doors are locked from the inside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you have that little push bar.
Yeah.
But the idea was he was trying to keep them out, keep them out from going inside.
Right. Well,
keep your kids safe.
Yeah, you can't lock people in a location. Just like the same thing with cell phones. A lot of teachers do not want students having cell phones. You even got movie theaters not wanting patrons to have cell phones in the movie theater. So they would like to come up with devices which could easily be made that would disable cell phone signals inside of buildings. But just like with
Right.
the fire code, it is a federal crime to disable cell phone signals, which is why the movie theaters and schools cannot do it. It's the same thing with the students. You can't lock them in school because, I mean, what happens if an active shooter gets in a different location and a student is actually around the door where he could easily escape, but you got the door locked and the student is found dead laying at a locked door? That would be horrible. So you can't lock them in. You can lock people out, but you can't lock them in.
Right. But that's the idea that to keep the kids safe. But that's what I was going by. I guess I kind of like that. I had to come up and trying to find you if you done live or whatever, and try to
Yeah.
find the deal that said that.
Yeah. Well,
Cool, man.
that particular caller just, I mean, I like to hear myself talk with the guests and things like that, but he was not one who would entertain any type of civil discourse. It was just, I want to talk and you're going to listen. And, I made the mistake of trying to have a conversation with the guy. He didn't like the counterpoints I was making and decided to cuss me out. But nevertheless, he was on my program, and on my program, you get to speak. And hell, to this day, he has not been banned from the program. He got angry and took himself off. But yeah, like I said, I'm a strong proponent of free speech. But appreciate you coming through with that one. But in
So
regards
hi.
to what go ahead, say that again.
Oh no, I agree with you. So am I. I love free speech. It,
Yeah,
it's healthy.
yeah. I got to concur with you on that. But listen, let me move the program on because we're kind of talking about this one subject. You're always welcome back, though, man.
All right, Colin, thank you. Have a good night. Be safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate you watching. Okay, looking in the comments. If is an election, it's a big red tsunami. Edge 2-5. In regards to the red wave, I understand my MAG audience, my beloved MAG audience. Get you more than 10,000 likes, by the way. Patriots and liberals alike, tap the screen. Make 10,000 likes happen. Y'all can do that shit. But in regards to the red wave, I will tell you this. The odds are still in favor of the Republicans performing well in November. However, that gap of expectation has narrowed, particularly in the Senate. It's to the point where in the Senate, a lot of political analysts and some of the polls are not even certain the Democrats would lose the Senate at all. Some are even suggesting that the Democrats may gain a seat or two in the Senate. Now, obviously, polls can be wrong. Shout out to Hillary Clinton. So we can't always go by the polls. But nevertheless, things do not look the way they originally looked earlier this spring or early summer. One reason, we'll go ahead and make it clear, as bad as the economy was under Joe Biden, it has improved. It's not where it was when he took office from Trump. We don't have $2 gas. Inflation is still up there, but it is not right now in the middle of September or early September, whatever you want to refer to it as. Things are not as bad as they were in June. So the notion that the economy is turning around does seem evident. And it's to the point now where people are not hurting as bad as they were a few months ago. They're still hurting. They're still hurting nonetheless, but it's not as bad as they were a few months ago. And as I pointed out earlier in this dialogue between you guys, is that I suggested you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Trump is continuing to talk. And it is helping President Biden out significantly, and all of the Democrats that are running against Republicans, is that they are using the midterms to suggest if we lose, you're going to get more of Trump. So folks are able, even Democrats who are not very popular or may not be performing very well, are actually able to do better by making it look like a referendum on Trump. I understand my MAGA folks love Trump. You enjoyed what he did with the economy. You think the guy's one of the best presidents in history. That's fine. But I'm telling you, he is hurting your party right now. Listen all you want, or you can ignore me at your own expense. All right, going back to the box. Note 81969 before. I believe we talked before, or maybe in the comments. NOH, good
Hey,
evening.
how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. We spoke before?
I think we have, yeah. It
Yeah,
just
I
kills
believe
me
so.
because you have all these people talking about, well, Trump could declassify. He could declassify things, but there's a way to go about it. He didn't go through the
Yeah,
paperwork. Another thing is you
yeah.
can't declassify anything nuclear. That's from the 1954 Nuclear Act, and you cannot, as a president, I don't care what president you are, you cannot declassify a nuclear document. For him to have these papers that he does, I honestly think he's holding those as a means to get himself out of trouble because he knew what was coming after he got out of the presidency. I think
Right.
he knew that he was going to be in trouble for stuff and it was going to catch up with him. And he's like, maybe if I hold these pieces of document, I can use them as a means of getting myself out of jail type of thing.
You're talking about
And
like a get out of jail free card.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's very possible, but now that they've taken the documents from him, will that still work? He doesn't have them anymore.
No, and the thing is, this is really morbid, but you've heard people talking about when they carried Ivana's casket, and they don't have all these documents they're missing. I think they're
Oh
buried with her.
no.
That's
Oh
why he has
no.
her buried where he does. That's why he
Oh
buried her on the golf course. Is he's like, that's where all those documents are. I can see them.
no.
They're on
Oh
my
no.
property. I'm just like, these people have me going down rabbit holes that I've never ever been in. I fell in with Alice.
Oh no! I gotta say, you're going into QAnon area. What do you want to exhume her to make sure she? You want to make sure that Ivanka is not a whole casket full of phone books, a bunch of paper
Right,
down there.
exactly. That's how far,
That's
if you
hilarious.
think about it, that's what these guys would do. That's what these far right crazies would do. And did you see that Truth Social just
Yeah.
handed over all of that stuff? So these people think that they were great at Truth Social. Now all their conversations are being turned over to the feds.
Wow. Wow. I did
Yeah,
not hear about
anything that
that.
mentions civil rights or civil anything, any type of violence or a civil war or an insurrection, everything has been turned over. And that's Trump's thing. And that thing's going under quicker than they don't have the money. They lied about having the money for that. It's probably going to go down within a year and it's going to go under.
You
And that
know,
has Trump's thing on it.
the crazy thing is when you mention what might actually be in it, I'm still laughing when you mention what actually might be in that casket, but oddly enough, folks in the comments, my MAGA side of the audience is, give me a break. I see it from what is it? Annalisa's like, give me a break. I gotta say this: what you were saying, they would be totally willing to entertain something like that if it was coming from the other side. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This rabbit hole, it's crazy. I mean, and it's not a rabbit hole. This is like a huge, like we got hit by a meteor hole. I mean, these people, I don't understand what his hold is on these people. It's like Jim Jones. It's any cult. You are a member of a cult. This man has not said he's going to run for president because if he does, he can't keep taking the money that he's getting. And now the Republicans have dropped him and said, you know what, we're not paying your legal bills anymore. This man doesn't have the money that he says he does. Everything is on paper. That's why they're coming at him for his taxes. He's inflated what his properties are worth. He has lied about everything his whole life. He is a chronic liar.
You are definitely resonating. There must be a lot of liberals in because you're resonating. And some of this is actually downright funny. I'm listening to you, giving you my undivided attention, but I am reading the comments. And Logan said, Ivana was not a big woman. Why did those guys struggle to carry her? In other words, there was a casket full of paperwork. And somebody else even asked, why do you need a casket when she was cremated? I mean, apparently
Exactly.
what you're
Why would you
saying.
bury her on the golf course? Why would you bury her on your property? She's the only person there that's buried there. I mean, there's
What
just
about
so much.
what about the tax benefits?
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everything that man does is he's trying to line his own pockets. These people still follow him like idiots, like zombies. I mean, zombies have more brains than the people on the far right. But when he is taking your money, or he tells you, "I like my uneducated people," and you're like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Really?" He's talking about you. He's telling you he thinks you're stupid. And when people say about the Hunter Biden laptop, I'm like, what millionaire do you know takes their laptop to Jim Jones' pawn shop to have it worked on? Shit, you would even take it to Best Buy or the Geek Squad or something. Why would you drop and then to find a diary? Really? Come
Yeah.
on, come up with some better
Well,
stuff. And
that
everybody,
right there, that's what I said. A lot of stuff you're saying, if it was on the right, they would be questioning it. Because yeah, if all of a sudden Rudolph Giuliani's laptop popped up, as you said, some little willy-nilly computer repair place or something, yeah, they would be like, there's no way in the world Rudolph Giuliani would drop his laptop off with all types of suspicious information on it at a little place like this. They would say exactly what you're saying right now.
Oh, I think Bannon is gonna, since he turned himself in and everything, his end game is I'm gonna keep my ass out of jail because I can't do time. So I think they're gonna cut him one heck of a sweet deal. And Trump right now is crapping in his adult diaper. Not that he already doesn't because of all the stuff he snorted, those Adderall or whatever that is. But I mean, come on. And the man, everybody's like, well, God, this,
You
he's the
think
second
Bannon
coming
would
of
flip?
Jesus.
You
I
think a
think he would.
loyalist like Bannon would flip?
I think he would. If it comes down to
Wow.
him spending time in a federal prison, I don't think old Steve Bannon could handle it because he's not manly. You know, if you look at him, he's really kind of like a sissy. And
That's
I
not
think he would end
politically
up.
correct. That's not politically correct nowadays. Cancel
I
culture is
know.
going to get you.
I know, and the thing is, here I am, but he doesn't look like he could defend himself. Like if he went to prison, he would be Bubba's.
Oh,
You know what? Like in
he
2
would be
minutes.
in a. Yeah, but they're going to do him just like a Bernie Madoff or somebody. That's a white collar crime. He would be in a country club. They're not going to put him in with Tyrone. I mean, they're not going to put him
Oh,
in the
Tyrone
road
would be able to
center.
find him though. He's got to eat. He's
Yeah,
got to
well.
eat. But the
Now,
thing is, it's
real
like
quick in the comments, in regards to Hunter Biden's laptop, looks like Buster Fazul said FBI says the laptop is real. Let me ask you a question in regards to President Trump. Buster in the comments, do you trust the FBI? Because if the FBI said the laptop is real and you're actually taking the word of the FBI, they have a hell of a lot of stuff to say about Trump. So are they a trustworthy organization or not? I don't want you picking and choosing when you can trust them or not. I'm not defending Hunter Biden. If they say the laptop is real, I believe it. But if they say Trump did not win the election, I believe that also. But I'm just simply saying, don't pick and choose when you believe these people. You either believe them or you don't. All right, go ahead there, No.
Yeah. So when they say that this about the FBI, Comey in 2016 released something and it made Hillary look horrible. And it was a political farce that they shouldn't have done, which is what they're talking about right now. Well, Trump might run for president. He hasn't announced that he's running for president, first of all. And he won't. He can't get the money anymore. But they were all okay with Jim Comey then. They're like, oh, yeah, go FBI. You're great. But as soon as it goes against your man, then you guys are all like, oh, no. And you attack. Why do the red need to attack everybody that goes against him? For the people that are voters to stop people from going to the polls. You're going and fighting at. You went up to what the hell, Hoffman Estates, Illinois, and went there because somebody said that Obama had documents there at the facility there, and you made these people are fearful for their jobs, and you guys are supposed to be the party of law and order. Who's law and order? I don't understand it. You guys, if you really want to do what's best for the country, sit back and just be quiet. don't go out with your gun and threaten people because that's not going to work for you. I'm really not afraid of a civil war, in all honesty, because half of these people that are going to go out in civil war are way overweight. They couldn't run a half a block. You could outrun them.
Come on now, don't hurt it. Hey, I'm a fat boy too. I'm 6'6",
Oh, no,
300 pounds.
but I guarantee you.
Big guy.
And they have them, and then you have the rest of them that are, 1 foot in the grave because they're old as you know what. I'm like, I'm not scared over here, and then it's like the first time that a Democrat actually says what I wish that everybody would say and calls them out on their crap. They're like, oh, you hurt our feelings. What?
Yeah.
What?
I gotta say the fuck your feelings crowd is really in their feelings over Biden's speech. But I gotta part ways before I let you go. You mentioned the Civil War. 40%. I read an article that said 40% of Americans think we are heading in that direction. What say you?
I think people believe that. Will it actually happen? No. There's not enough people to do that. I don't. I think it's just a scare-tastic. That's what the Republicans always do is fear mongering, and let's scare everybody. And the insurrection happened, but you see how many of those people turned, and how quick they're like, I didn't really mean that. I was believing what Trump said to do.
Yep.
He's going to pay for that. These people flip quicker than anybody else. So yeah.
Yeah. What I don't get, I understand the love and support for Trump. If you thought he was a better president, that's fine. But folks need to realize that Trump is the Teflon Don, not you. When you look at Rudolph Giuliani, now we're talking about Steve Bannon. What is his lawyer? Michael Cohen. How many high-ups that were around Trump, Flynn, and all of these folks that have faced the criminal justice system? Trump is the Teflon Don, not you. Same thing with all these MAGA that went into the Capitol. But these folks need to realize that he will get away with what he's doing. You won't. You're going to go to prison. And when you do go down, MAGA is going to suggest that you're Antifa and nobody's going to come and help you. A lot of these folks need to realize that. But no, appreciate you coming through.
One thing real quick, and I'll let you go. So
go for it.
You know that if you and your boys are out running around and one of your boys happens to shoot somebody, you're just as guilty as him with the gun because you were there when the felony was committed, right? That woman that was killed. That woman that was killed at the Capitol and all the police officers that were killed and hurt, he should be culpable of those crimes because in any other world, he would be. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
Well, like I said, he is the Teflon Don. I believe if Rudolph Giuliani or any of the other speakers orchestrated that whole thing and they did it on behalf of Trump and Trump was not there, they would have been held accountable. But Trump is a different breed. He survived shit. Okay.
Giuliani's been way too quiet lately, by the way.
You said what?
I said Giuliani's been way too quiet lately, by the way.
Shit, Giuliani going broke. Giuliani ain't doing too good right now. And he's not getting a lot of financial assistance from Trump at all. They're all over him. He got cases coming out of his ass from dealing with Trump. That was America's mayor. He would have rode off into the sunset as a hero from 9/11. He could have owned New York. He followed Trump and he has destroyed his legacy and everything.
Anything that Trump touches turns to crap.
Yeah. All right. Gotta go.
Let's take it easy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, catch you later.
Listen, I can't help but to kind of agree with that in terms of human cargo or human assets. Now, if you want to say the economy was great and things like that, yeah, I'm not arguing that the economy was good under Trump, but we're talking about humans. In regards to humans, the humans that have been working with Trump are going down right and left. They're going down right and left. I mean, how many folks have operated on behalf of Trump and faced some type of criminal indictment or got a felony or got jail time? Obviously, you're talking about 400 and some odd people alone just on January 6th. But now you got folks trying to target and take out the FBI. That guy lost his life from Cincinnati. How many other folks have paid a huge price in regards to President Trump. Trump may never go down or may never get arrested for any of this, but that doesn't mean you should follow him. All right, going to the box because you're not likely to have the same results. Just a Dad, 1900. To you, Just a Dad. Welcome back to the program. Good to have you.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's the first time
Have
on
you
the
been
live.
listening in?
What was that?
I see you've been listening in.
Oh yeah.
Good. Is this? You said it's our first time?
Yeah, this is my first time. I've been in.
Okay, I responded to you in the comments before because I do remember your name though.
Yeah. I
Okay.
believe you started following
All
me
right.
too.
Okay.
This is my first time on the live, so
good to have you on.
forgive
What's on your
me.
mind?
Well, I think I want to say that I don't think everybody's comprehending how significant it is for the type of documents that they announced the government leaked about it being nuclear files or nuclear the files for nuclear capabilities. And I think the big deal here, the difference is those were from an ally. Don't you think?
You said those were what?
The files, the classified files, were about a nuclear. Were the classified nuclear capability files were the nuclear capabilities of one of our allies.
Right.
You don't.
We don't
think
know
that,
which country yet. Yeah.
Well, there's two ways. I mean, whether we found that out through spies or whatever, but I believe I read a while ago that there were companies and some of our allies actually shared their capabilities with us. And if it's one of those type of files, then I can't see one of that country being to where they just, oh, okay. I mean, I think they're going to demand Trump be punished.
Yeah, but you can just like my guess is if President Biden or someone a cooler head prevail member of America goes to that country, we could probably work out something where they won't keep pushing that Trump gets punished. I mean, we would have to do something to make them happy. But yeah, I agree because every atomic nation on earth has an adversary. Doesn't matter if it's America, if it's Pakistan, every country that has a nuclear weapon has somebody else out there that they consider an adversary. So those documents that Trump had would easily be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't really care which country he had documents on the nuclear capabilities of. There are people who would pay a lot of money for that information. So
yeah,
I can't see how it's just a mere oversight. You know, Bill O'Reilly was indicating that maybe somebody brought the documents into Mar-a-Lago and Trump didn't know about it or something. I can't see how that happens by accident.
There's no way. I mean, they were found all different places in different rooms in the hotel. Like everybody said, like to say, oh, they were behind padlock. No, they found some in his office desk. Yeah, but the thing is, he didn't have those files just for bragging or his ego. He had the opportunity to turn those files in before. I mean, several times they kept requesting. It's been a year that they've been trying to request those files or any files that he had, and he didn't do it. Right. There's a reason he kept them. There's a reason he kept them. That's just
they were packed up. I mean, but what kind of reason will we expect? I mean, are we really looking at a potential traitor to the country committing acts of treason?
I wouldn't doubt it. I think all he thinks about is money. I mean, I'm not saying that is, but I think it's a possibility. Look, the government leaked this file to the Washington Post, right?
Right.
So if they leak this info, don't you think they have worse? Do you think they're going to leak the top charges they have or the top piece of incriminating evidence they have? I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist.
I get your point. That is, the FBI definitely plays its cards close to the vest, and they don't let you ignore everything they have. It's what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I hope the answer is no, though. I hope they don't have more.
It's hard for me because even as much as I dislike Trump, I mean, I can't believe that anyone, especially that's in power like that would do that. But what other reason would he have? If it was for simple ego, would he have been really ready to go to prison after they knew he had files and they were trying to get him?
Yeah. Well, what about this? Remember, if I don't know if you can remember or not, but early in Trump's term, he had an interview with Bill O'Reilly, and at the time, it was a big issue with the security agencies here in America suggesting that the Russians were interfering in the election, the one with him and Hillary Clinton. And Bill O'Reilly was interviewing him about that and asking President Trump at the time, why are you taking Vladimir Putin's word that the Russians did not interfere with our election over our own intelligence agencies? And Trump was trying to explain that, and Bill O'Reilly was saying, how can you speak favorably of a guy that has committed so many atrocities? And Trump stated, well, we do that stuff too. And the point I'm trying to make is that maybe Trump had such a strong favorable relationship with Vladimir Putin that perhaps he wants to give him documents on someone else's nuclear capabilities as a show of faith towards Vladimir Putin. Keep in mind, he was about to build the largest skyscraper in Russia when he got elected. President Trump was. He has a hugely favorable relationship with Vladimir Putin.
And Putin's probably one of the richest men in the world. You don't think Trump's going to try to buddy up to him? And I always thought that's what it was. I didn't think it was so much he had compromise on him or anything. I think he knew how much. I think he thought Putin could really enrich him. But yeah, and going back to the documents, though, has Jared Kushner? Does he? I know he's real estate, but does he have any type of investing experience?
What do you mean, Kushner?
Yeah, Jared Kushner. Does he have any type
I
of
don't know. I can't. Yeah, I can't answer that question. I don't know. And I see Lisa in the comments said, "Handsome, just stop." Listen, I'm willing to admit I'm speculating, but there has to be some reason this guy had these documents. The idea that this is just 100% innocent, with him yelling out, "They're declassified," and all of the mess. There's something here. We just do not know what the hell it is. Hopefully, Trump is innocent. But there is absolutely no reason why any of us should hear this and not at least ask questions. Get my point there? I mean, we should ask questions on this, right? I mean, is this just simply something we should just simply say, well, as long as the economy is good, this doesn't matter?
Exactly. And I'm just pure speculation. I didn't want to go here because, so what I'm saying about Jared Kushner, why did the Saudis give him $2 billion? Just to invest.
Say that again.
The Saudis supposedly gave Jared Kushner $2 billion as an investor. Now, why would they do that if he doesn't have this to create a hedge fund? What experience does he have to do that? And I'm open to seeing. I didn't want to bring that up because it sounds like a conspiracy theory. But you're right, just about asking a question. I mean, why would they give him $2 billion to invest in a hedge fund or to create a hedge fund that he has no experience in? Why would you invest that money? That's in the back of my head. But
yeah, I get your point. This is where I would absolutely entertain a whataboutism. This is very similar to Hunter Biden getting a really high-paying job from the Ukrainians, and it's the same thing. You don't have experience for this. I totally agree with you in regards to Jared Kushner, and I guess I'd say Hunter Biden as well. It's one of those cases where it looks like where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, if you don't have the experience for this position, and they're paying you this kind of money, and you have ties to very high members of the American government, there's some quid pro quo shit going on that we're not being privy to.
Yeah. So how do we know they didn't get some files? What if? I mean, everybody says we don't know if Israel has nuclear weapons, but a lot of people say they do. What if the nuclear info was on them?
Yeah.
I mean, was theirs. So Saudi Arabia wanting it would be a reason for them to want that. And
you think that Trump would? You think that Trump would sell out that Jewish nation like that? Wow.
For money, I wouldn't doubt. He may not put two together. I mean, I'm not saying he's a dumb man, but I don't think he puts a lot into thoughts and things he does. So it's not like he was going to go around asking his lawyers, how should I do this or asking for input from other people, you know. If someone
You know.
flashes $2 billion for doing this with something you have,
What's really bad about stuff like this is when you get to the level of greed on this. Trump is at a point right now where obviously whatever he's worth, people say he's not worth $10 billion, whatever he's worth, it's well more than any 75-year-old man could ever spend. His children are already worth hundreds of millions of dollars. For him to still be out committing felonies for more money, yeah, the level of greed would have to be off the chain. Like, you're not going to, I mean, you're not exactly Queen Elizabeth. You're not going to be around that much longer. So you got more money you could ever spend. You don't have to worry about any generational wealth because all your children are insanely wealthy. To be still doing shit to make money is, yeah, that's a level of greed that I could never comprehend.
Well, Forbes, the last time I saw Forbes thinks he's worth $2 to $3 billion or something actual. Now, a lot of that is tied up in buildings. It's not really, I'm not saying he's cash poor.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't matter at this point. He's 70 some odd years old, and there's nothing that money can buy that he could not get at this point. There's just nothing. I mean, okay, if he's only worth 1 billion as opposed to 20 billion or whatever the case may be, you're in your 70s. You're not even going to go through $1 billion in the remainder of your life. I mean, and not only that, but he still has projects and other ways to still make a hell of a lot more money legally. You just have to be ridiculously greedy to still be involved in shit like that in your late 70s.
Yeah, and I'm invested. I want to see how it turns out. And we may never know the truth about everything that happened.
You'll know. Oh yeah, you'll eventually know the truth. It's just Trump may not ever face any sort of punishment for it, but after his demise, the truth will come out.
My prediction: Trump, when it looks like he's going to get indicted, or after he's indicted, I have a feeling he's going to leave the country. If they go to the point where they actually indict him, I think he'll go to another country, and I think he'll try to negotiate some kind of deal that he won't be. I know, I'm sorry, but
no. I don't think it's stupid. I'm just saying, can you imagine the amount of embarrassment to the United States as a country to have a president do something like that?
Yeah, but I honestly do. Do you think he'll really? I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be. I'm not saying jailed, but I'm saying I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be indicted. I have zero doubt.
I'm with you that he will be indicted. Where I'm shaky is that he'll ever be convicted or not. They got to indict him. You can't serve a search warrant on the home of a former president and not charge him with something. It already looks like bullshit because of how long it's been since the warrant has been served. Yeah, you got to indict him. You got to do that.
So once they indict him, they have to go through formal court procedures, no?
Yeah.
I do think I don't know how I can say this on TikTok, but I do think that there will be January 6th type events if he is indicted too. And,
absolutely.
There's going to be neighbors, unaliving neighbors, spouses. I mean, I don't know how much, but it is going to happen.
I can see that.
These MAGA, they believe he's their savior. There is no doubt. I know there's a small percentage of MAGA that makes up this stuff and lets all the other MAGAs feed on it, and those other MAGAs, they feed on it. They believe it. To them, he is a savior, and he will.
Savior from what?
Not in a religious sense. They think he's saving the country, or saving kids from Democrats, or from blood drinking, whatever, And they believe this to their heart, and there are people out there that do believe this. And I hope it's not bad, but I know that there will be stuff going down, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, all right. I got to move it on. Oh, you don't depress me for the evening, but I appreciate you coming through, man. That's all right. Always good to talk to you. This is our first time talking. Don't be a stranger. Come on back anytime, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Not a problem. Okay. Looking in the comments real quick here. Trump is Dim's daddy. Hell, you guys. damn flags all over your house and wearing hats and apparel, how are they our father? Shit, they're clothing you guys. How are they the liberals' father? You don't know what we believe. I am well educated, a retired nurse, and a Trump supporter. Nanny boo boo. Okay, all right. Be cool, girl. I only seen one Trump sign in 2,500 miles I drove this week in America. What are you doing? Circling Chicago over and over again? I can tell you, from being from the Midwest, there are plenty of Trump signs and flags out there. They are out there. And I'm talking about in the Midwest. I can only imagine what it's like down in the South. It's got to be worse. There are plenty of houses with either Trump flags, Let's Go Brandon, the actual F word in regards to Joe Biden. The signs are everywhere. They are everywhere. Any Trump's holding rallies right and left, and that merchandise is selling. So that stuff is everywhere. You just happened, the 2,500 miles you drove just must have taken you around the areas, but that stuff is everywhere. MAGA blind will lead the blind. Wow. Pregnant while still married. Wait a minute. Why do you love cheating men? Why do you love cheating men that get a woman pregnant while still married to the other like Trump? Ouch. Ouch. And that came from You Don't Know 5. That was kind of a dig at when Trump was suggesting he didn't even know who Stormy Daniels was until she started putting out pictures of them together and describing the inside of his house. But yeah, cheated on the wife with a stripper and things like that. I guess the argument from the Trump supporter side is that's his personal life. We don't care about that. That's generally how they look at it, which I would kind of agree with. But then again, if you're going to attack President Obama for his church and shit like that, then the whole personal life thing doesn't hold weight, because when Obama was in office, they were all over his personal life. So I don't know where to go with that. Going back to the box. Oh, a friend of the program. It is okay. Oh, Matt. Definitely down with the program. Good afternoon or good evening. Okay.
What's going on, brother?
Nothing at all. Pleasure having you back. I know you've heard some shit that you don't agree with. Let me have it. Give it to me.
Well, I didn't hear anything I didn't agree with, other than the confusion that's going on.
Oh. Okay.
Hey,
Let's clear up the confusion. What's on
the
your mind?
confusion. All right, this is the show, man. That's all it is. You've got, just think of a television show, any television show or a movie.
Okay.
You got your producers, your executive producers. You've got your editors. You've got your writers, your screenplay writers, regardless of what it is. Then you've got your directors. Doesn't matter who sits in that office. They're paid actors, and every paid actor.
Yeah, but
will
a television show is created just simply to entertain. It's not. Most shows are not based on fact or totally fiction. They're just simply made to entertain. Are you suggesting that accusing Trump of having classified documents that he should not have had at his Mar-a-Lago residence is just simply fiction created to entertain?
Well, I think personally, look at how many times he's had to answer to the courts or stand in front of Congress through his lifetime, all of his dealings, and he's come out slicker than snot. Regardless of what you feel about him, he's a brilliant man. I don't think he would get caught with known classified documents on top of his desk.
Let me ask it to you this way. If O.J. Simpson, let me give you O.J. Simpson. If O.J. Simpson was found not guilty after they tried him in the middle of inner city Chicago, would you not wonder if the jury themselves was tainted in favor of O.J.? The point I'm trying to make is, when you look at some of the cases that Trump has escaped, certainly when it comes to those impeachments, you look at Attorney General Barr wrapping up Mueller's entire investigation into 4 sheets of paper and not even telling the truth of what was on it. You got the Senate not testifying and not answering subpoenas. I'm not saying Trump was guilty, but I'm going to present a case that his impeachments were not fairly prosecuted. You had the entire Senate working on his behalf.
They probably weren't. They probably weren't fairly executed according to the citizenry of America. Most definitely they weren't executed fairly. But you've got to understand and remember where he came from. I mean, he was one of the largest private donors to the DNC and tried to get their nomination against Hillary before he switched platforms and went to the RNC just to get president. I think that they all have too much dirt on each other. And if they drag him down, especially, and an indictment is an indictment, it's not a conviction, but if they come close to a conviction, I can't imagine how far that skyscraper is going to fall and who all it's going to fall on. Because I think the Democrats and the Republicans and any independents up there that had any kind of dealings with Trump in his past are going to come down to hard tumble.
Now, you said this before, and every time you say this, I often wonder, and I didn't get a chance to ask you this. What you've said before and you just said now is that Trump was originally in 2020 or 2016. In 2016, he originally wanted to run as a Democrat, but because the DNC would not remove Hillary Clinton out of his way, he decided to run as a Republican instead. Wouldn't that make him a rhino? If he ran as a Republican only because the Democrats would not allow him to run, if what you're saying is true, wouldn't that make him genuinely a rhino?
Oh, yeah. Republican in name only, and that's the majority of the Republicans that hold office are that way. I mean, you talk about, somebody said that, I saw in the comments, somebody said he's a savior. Every president has been a small group of citizen savior. Every one of them. It's just, it's a big show. And as long as they can keep us divided, because it's just like a movie, take Star Wars, for instance. You got half of Americans that love Star Wars that love the dark side, and half of them that love the light side. Half of them are Jedi, and half of them are Darth Vader. And
so in regards to the argument that they want to keep us divided, what about Trump? Do you see him as a divider or a unifier?
I kind of view Trump like I view Reagan. Both of them were professional actors, not politicians, and both of them got in a hell of a lot deeper into a whole lot more shit than what they realized they were going to when they found out they won.
Yeah, but Reagan won 49 states in terms of the Electoral College. Reagan won a hell of a lot of Americans. He wasn't. There's a USS Reagan. There's all types of shit named after Reagan. I don't think you'll ever see a USS Trump. I think right now in America, there are only 2 schools named after President Nixon. There's virtually nothing in this country named after President Nixon. I strongly believe if we continue down this path with Trump and he is not reelected, his legacy is going to be tarnished. So I don't know if I would put him in the same category as Reagan. But are you saying that do you think he's a divider or you think he's a uniter?
Well, I think every president goes in to unite the country, because otherwise, if I walked up there and I was running for president and I said, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not uniting shit. There's no way I'd get elected. Okay. I just think that the producers of the show are doing what they have to do to keep the country divided, so we can't see what's going on, up top behind the scenes.
You think that? So you believe that originally Trump was trying to unite the country?
Yeah, I think he was, but also, is like my dad told me a long time ago. To convey a message, you have to take into account that it's never what you say, it's how you say it. And then it's how it's perceived from the person hearing it. Okay, so everybody's perception is reality. Trump could say hello to one person and they think he's flipping them the bird, and hello to another and they think he's proposing. Well, Biden can.
What if he says my war heroes don't get captured? How would you interpret that? Yeah, thank you for that mustache, Jack. How would you interpret that? My war heroes don't get captured.
Well, I would interpret it like he's planning on leaving some fighting men and women behind and just going after the ones that he deems to be a war hero.
So if you were a POW, do you see that as a unifying comment or a divisive comment?
Well, I think it would be a kind of it depends on his perspective. I don't know his perspective on who's considered a war hero or not. So if you're a POW, does he consider you a war hero because you're a POW? Or are you just standing next to, you just standing next to...
You make a good point, and that's the problem is you shouldn't have to, if you're in the military putting your life on the line for our country, you shouldn't have to do all of that to figure out if this guy honors you or not. You should know that already. You shouldn't have
Right,
to,
you should.
yeah.
You should, but from the platform, double talk comes out of both sides of everybody's mouth that has to sit that seat.
Yeah, but my war heroes don't get captured. I can't see the double talk in that. I think that message is fairly clear. If you get captured,
No,
you're not a war hero. Period. I mean, if you serve in the military and you happen to get captured, which is exactly what a POW is, somebody who got captured, you can't be his war hero. I mean,
yeah, but there's
I
not.
don't see any other way to misinterpret that.
Well, it's a hard interpretation because every one of us that served and saw combat don't think that we're heroes, whether we came back or not. Our heroes never came back.
Right. But you don't need the president of the United States, who is responsible for sending you into harm's way, talking about which ones of you are heroes and which ones of you are not, when he is the one
Yeah,
putting you in the predicament you're in.
yeah, that would be a hard pill to choke.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
I think if I was in the middle of combat also, or if I was a POW, that's not a pill that I would either one listen to or hear in the first place, or two, I think there'd be other things I was worried about. I'd be worried about my brothers and sisters.
Okay. Well, the only reason why I brought it up because you were talking about when it comes to politicians speaking, people can hear different things different ways and interpret stuff different. And I'm saying some of Trump's comments, I question how else could you really interpret. Like, for instance, calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. How else can you really interpret that? I mean, she lied on her law school application, lied and said she was part Native American. She admitted she lied, got caught in the lie. But where does calling her Pocahontas fit in? And
Well,
the Native American crowd was saying that it was insulting to them, and he still does it to this day. What is the goal of that?
just slanderous talk.
Yeah.
Some people,
You think that's divisive?
I mean, oh yeah, that's divisive. If you've got supporters for Elizabeth Taylor or Elizabeth Warren or Pelosi, it doesn't matter. If you talk down about them in public, there's going to be a group of people that are going to take offense because they support those candidates or those seats or whoever they may be.
Yeah. Well, but the thing about it is, if you don't like Nancy Pelosi's policies or the fact that her husband got a DUI and is not being treated like the regular citizen would be, you can point that out without calling the guy some kind of horrible nickname. You're going above and beyond when you start creating these crazy nicknames. Like, for instance, Nervous Nancy. What does that
Yeah,
have
but
to
you
do
got
with the policy she creates?
you got to understand. When Trump was elected, they didn't elect a politician; they elected a TV star. Right?
That is true.
He's an actor. I mean, he's got to, even on his apprentice program, he was an ass to everybody because that fed the narrative that he needed to feed. You know, nobody would have watched it. Nobody would have watched it if he.
And I agree with you 100%. And that's what I've often said is that Trump is a businessman. And I do strongly believe he would have been far more effective in a dictatorship. Like you mentioned, his program, The Apprentice. When in a business, it's your way or the highway. When you own a business, you can tell your board, your employees, even sometimes your shippers and distributors, either you do things my way or you go find somewhere else to work or find another customer. It's my way or the highway. But in a republic or democracy, that doesn't apply. You can't tell the Senate or Congress it's my way or the highway. Our system is designed so everyone has to work with each other. So when you bring in the hardcore business mind that Trump has and try to implement it into a democracy or a republic, it doesn't work. And that's why he's had so much turmoil. But my MAGA folks, get my likes up to 20,000, I'm going to ask. tap the screen. But my MAGA folks keep suggesting that we like Trump because he's a businessman. And I have to submit that if you are a businessman, you're always going to have problems in the U.S. political system because people have the right to tell you no.
Yeah, and you will. I mean, America is a business, and we're supposed to be run like a business. But the problem with every business is when your executives don't know what your managers are doing, and your treasury department is, cutting checks here, and you don't know where the money's going, and this, that, and the other. You generally don't tell that to the employees until it comes time to go, you know what? We're closing down. Y'all go find something else to do.
Right.
So,
fair enough.
America needs to be operated like a business, but Trump, as business-minded as he was not politically affiliated at all, in his mind, I should say, because there is nothing politically correct about it. He's just going to say what he's going to say, but I think a lot of that comes from his showmanship, because as long as he says anything derogatory, or if he says anything nice, it blows people's mind. It makes people go, wow, so the ratings go up.
And a lot of it's not true. Like, I know more about drones than anyone else, believe me, or I know more about COVID than anyone else. And people go, wow, these people actually are not singing this song. But okay, old timer, I got to move it on. Man,
just for the last thing, whether you vote Democrat or Republican, just remember that's your voting party. That's not who you are. Liberals, progressives, whatever you want to call yourself, moderates, independents, conservatives, we're a family, and we can find common ground as long as we come together. And as far as the MAGA group or the Antifa or BLM or 3%ers or whoever, that's a small percentage of who we ain't if we're willing to talk.
Well said. I agree. And keep in mind, unity starts at the top. So when you're saying we come together, we're going to need some leadership from the top. But, it's like if you got a divisive general, you can't expect all the troops to be, united. It's got to come from the top.
Yes, it
I
does.
got to move it on. All right.
Take care,
Good
brother.
talk, man. You too.
Appreciate
you too.
it.
Always a pleasure. Dang. All
right, and real quick in the comments, and just like when I was speaking with Old Timer, he was talking about the country needs to be ran like a business. The liberal side of me tends to disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. The ultimate goal of a business is its bottom line. In a business, it's all about making profit. But when you're talking about a civilized society, there are aspects of civilized society that profit should not even be in the conversation. Imagine if somebody's shooting at you and you don't own a gun, or you're out of bullets, or you're trapped in an environment and you dial 911 for help, and the cops want to respond to your call, but profit is on their mind. Do you want them to respond to your home like a business? You're 20 miles away instead of 5, so we gotta add a surcharge to that. You sound like the guy that's shooting at you is using the long rifle as opposed to a pistol, so we got to bring long rifles. There's a surcharge for that. I heard 50 rounds. We got to bring additional magazines since we hear a lot of shots being fired at you. There's a surcharge for that. You're on the second floor. Your home is on fire. The fire department shows up. Well, we got to use our ladder. There's a surcharge for that, as opposed to taking you out of the front door. Well, you said you weigh 200 pounds? Well, we can't send Becky up there to carry you out. We got to send Tyrone. Well, there's a surcharge for that. You can't have civilized society operating from the aspect of a business. There are certain areas of our life in this country where if you impose profit, people are going to die, period. It's just going to be that freaking bad. Right now, our penal system, our prisons are for-profit based. And look at them. People do not get corrected. I made a video about this the other day in regards to, I cannot even think of the scumbag's name, Cleotha or something like that, down in Memphis, Tennessee. He's the African-American guy who kidnapped a white woman in broad daylight, Eliza Fletcher or something like that, and they found her murdered a couple of days later. Now, this guy did 20 years. He kidnapped someone else before this, so he had a record already. At the age of 16, he kidnapped a lawyer at gunpoint.
Now, the lawyer wasn't killed, but they gave him in 2003 a 20-year prison sentence based on that original kidnapping. So from 2003 to 2020, he was in prison for that kidnapping. And now he's out, and here goes Elijah being kidnapped earlier this month. And folks are suggesting, well, if he was still in prison, he would not have been able to kill Elijah. She would still be alive. Well, the point is, if you give a 16-year-old 20 years in prison for a crime in which no one died, that's not exactly a smack on the wrist. That's a pretty hefty fucking sentence. Instead of us constantly complaining about the sentences are not being long enough and locking everybody up for forever and shit, how about we start asking, why is these correctional institutions not correcting anyone? 50% of prisoners in this country are back incarcerated within 1 year. 70% are back there within 5 years. That is for profit. That's how for-profit systems work. If I'm making profit off of my prisoner population, I'm going to try to maintain a prisoner population. I don't want you to go home and correct your life. I want you to come back because I get federal subsidies and income based on how many cells I fill. That's an aspect of American life that we do not need ran like a business. Shit. H2O, I appreciate that. Love that. Good shit. You don't need a business-minded aspect in every facet of our life. Healthcare is another example where you can clearly see this taking place. People who cannot afford healthcare don't get very good healthcare. They do not get, because the healthcare industry is thinking about how much money they can make. So the people with good money get good healthcare. The people with low money get poor healthcare or minimal healthcare. You're talking about people's lives. You're talking about people's lives, and we're putting money over it. This is the part of our society that is leading a lot of younger folks, considering the salaries, the disparity of salaries, how they've happened. Yeah, appreciate that hack, Quit the Gamer. The way our society is turning. This is why you're starting to have so many people in a younger crowd that are suggesting, well, shit, if I'm living like this under capitalism, I'm willing to try something else. That's why you're hearing this socialism and all this other shit's coming up, is that you can't run a country like a business. You just can't do that because people are going to get hosed, and it's going to be all the poor people. All right, going back to the box. You guys got me bloviating right and left. Let's go to J. Schmoo Guitar Show. Guitar business. I'm just not a fan of that. Okay, Guitar Show. Good evening.
Hey, there's so many things. I don't know where to start. Starting back all the way with the.
Give me what you remember. I got onto a rant there. When folks say running the country like a business, that always triggers me. But go ahead.
But you know the gal we started when I started watching. I think her name was No something. I don't know, but she was kind of like the Q of the Democrats.
Yes.
You know how crazy the Q people are on the
she
Trump
gave
side.
some pretty strong conspiracies. Yeah, she came with some hard conspiracies.
And there's a lot of things. Me and you've talked before. It's been a little while, but with the whole documents thing, has Trump come out and said, "Yeah, I had these documents"?
Well, he said they were declassified, so that's an admission. You got something.
Did he say? Did he say the specific, the ones they're talking about as the nuclear, capabilities of another nation?
No,
and he has them.
We don't know what he's talking about. The FBI said we seized documents from his place that were classified, and he countered with, no, they are declassified. Now folks are suggesting, well, the FBI really didn't take anything. This is why you have to listen to your lawyers. Trump should not have yelled out that stuff was declassified without talking to his attorneys first, because now he's on the hook for admitting that, yeah, they did take something from your house, whether it was classified or not. You can't say they didn't take anything because you yelled out it was declassified.
Well, my thing is, we know that they went in their place, but how do we know that the FBI didn't take the documents in there.
Wait, say that again?
How would we know that the FBI didn't take the documents in there?
Well, and I understand what you're saying. You're suggesting that they may have planted evidence.
Yes.
Well, based on that notion, I don't think we could have a functioning criminal justice system in this country because I mean, every warrant they serve in America, the folks who get arrested can make that argument. I mean,
But there's
literally, anytime you come to somebody's house and you say, "I found drugs in your house," well, how we know you didn't bring them in? You have to, at some point, you got to trust your law enforcement.
But at the same time, you know, as a person that's been around long enough to know that does happen.
Yeah, not usually on the president of the United States, though.
No, but at a president of the United States, they've tried to hang him on so many things. I'm not here apologist for Trump. I'm here as a person looking from the outside, thinking the whole damn government's gone crazy, and
well,
they
let me say it like this.
They don't want to lose power.
They seized over a dozen, maybe a couple dozen boxes of documents. Trump's attorney was present there. Mar-a-Lago has cameras and all types of video equipment all over the what do you call it, resort. If they brought information with them, the lawyers should have seen it. The camera should have picked it up. I mean, there would be there's a hell of a lot of checks and balances to make that very difficult to do.
Yeah, it may be and maybe not.
Yeah.
But
let me also say
know.
this. Let me also say this. When even in the street nowadays, when the police deal with citizens and when they perform search warrants, they got body cameras on them. Yeah. I would be very surprised if the FBI did not videotape every step they made in Mar-a-Lago, because you would have to know the accusations being made against the FBI were coming. Because you've already made them against the January 6 hearings. They were made against Mueller and Comey. You would know when you go in this man's house, they're gonna say you were on some bullshit. You need to film everything you're doing in here. It would not surprise me if all of that warrant served on Trump's home is on video.
Well, me neither. But at the same time, you know, we hear all kinds of things. The FBI's in there going through the closets, putting on her clothes and all that crazy stuff. Dude, this is all politics. And the thing
why
is,
why is this any different though? What they do that they serve warrants like this on American citizens all day, every day. Why is it being viewed so? You know how many closets they go through? They've taken people off the toilet while they were taking a shit. All of a sudden, they go through some of Melania's clothes and it's off limits.
No, I'm not saying it's off limits. What I'm saying is, he was the president of the United States. He's seen all these documents, had access to any document he wanted. If he wanted them documents, why didn't he just make copies of them and leave the originals there?
Well,
you know, we don't know that. I'm just saying. These people,
if you have secret facilities that if you got documents that are so top secret that they have to be in a guarded environment at all times, even the president, you're not going to just show up there and stick one of them in a Xerox without attracting some attention. Now, yeah, you have the right to do that, but you would have to know that the guy standing there that's watching you do that shit may ultimately be called to testify against you. I mean, you're going to arouse suspicion if you show up and you're flipping through all kinds of nuclear documents. We know Trump is not a nuclear physicist. So what the hell are you looking through a book full of nuclear documents for and put them in a copy machine?
But we don't really know what it could just say the word nuclear in it. You know, we don't know what these documents are. And the thing is if these documents are so guarded, you can't put them in a copy machine. How in the world did he just walk out of the White House with them?
Well, like you said, he is the president.
Yes, he's the president. That's what I'm saying. He could do. And the thing is we don't know, but everybody wants to speculate. And you know, how many times has this happened where they've speculated, the news and media has told us all this stuff, you know, and then when it comes down to the hearings, it ain't exactly what the government says. You know, we're not the people against Trump. I ain't here to apologize for Trump. But you make a fair point. But since we're speculating though,
I mean, give me a totally defensive reason in Trump's favor as to why he would have documents about spies out in the field. Why would he have that? Even if he's 100% innocent, can you think of any innocent reason to have documents about an asset operating out in the field on behalf of the United States?
We'd have to know what them documents are covering, because you got, all right, look at how many years they've tried to prosecute Trump.
Okay.
Let's take that information and keep it close to myself.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about Al Capone. You can say the same thing about John Gotti. That doesn't mean you're innocent because you're beating cases.
No. What I'm saying is the reason he's kept it is because at some point he's going to say, hey, look, maybe he's keeping it for election and say, hey, I declassified here. I want to show you some information about what these people in the FBI, whatever, CIA, these are top secret things that I've found. Maybe it's Epstein papers. Maybe it's information on that stuff. They don't want to tell us that stuff. There's so many people that want to protect so many things. Hey, Trump's not a dummy.
What about the notion that there is a process that is required to declassify documents? You can't just take everything home, keep it in your house, and when the police show up or when the feds show up, say, "Oh, you know what? This was declassified." What about the notion that there has to be an official process before that can officially be designated as declassified?
Well, it's my understanding from the legal that I've listened to talk about it, that he could be walking out of that office as long as he's still president. He just says the words, they're declassified, and they're declassified.
But does someone have to actually hear the words? Does it have to be written down anywhere? You can just go grab some nuclear documents, say it's declassified, go home, and there's no record at all of you ever saying that.
No, he can just say no. I mean, that's the thing. Bill, I think it happened with Bill Clinton.
You really think that our country, when it comes to secrets that can get people killed and put this country in danger, we're that slipshod that you could just grab any document you want, say it's declassified, take it with you, and not even have to have a paper trail that you did it?
Well, he's the president of the United States. That's the highest there is in command.
Yeah, but
if we don't trust him to do that, then why would we trust him to ever be president?
Why would you trust anyone to do something like that? To just be able to walk out with highly classified documents, like I said, they could weaken this country, put our country in danger, get assets out in the field killed. You would allow them to declassify something without having to tell anyone they did it. Would lead to the obvious question. If a president truly was going to be a traitor and work for another nation, based on what you're saying, it's impossible, because the minute they get caught, they can just say, I declassified it and didn't tell anyone. Essentially would make it impossible for them to commit an act of treason.
In so many ways. But at the same time, is that what is the law? Is the law say that he can do it? If the law says he can do it, that's what's in our Constitution. That's what's in our ways of doing these things.
Why would we want someone back in office that would do something that sloppy?
We don't know he did it.
Document, huh?
We don't know he did it.
Well, if he said the documents are declassified, and there's no record of him ever. Wait a minute. If he said the documents are declassified and there is no physical record out there, no paper trail that he ever did it, then you say we don't know he did it. That's proof he did it right there. If you got documents at your home that you're saying are declassified and you can't present any evidence of when you declassified them, then you just did what you just suggested.
No, I think when he said that he declassified the paperwork at his house, then the FBI brings in different paperwork and puts it in there, adds to it. And then they say, oh, see, it's we don't know. And the thing is, he used to be a president.
Okay, I don't want to, even though we're speculating here, I'm not just in the camp of automatically convicting Trump. However, I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt to the point of insanity, where the entire FBI is just working to get this guy in plenty of evidence. I mean, like I said, if what you're saying has any validity to it, how can we have any law enforcement institution in this country that could operate. Every single criminal could say that. Wow, the shit you took out of my house, how do I know you didn't plant it there? Imagine a defense lawyer defending his client and presenting that as evidence. Those 3 bags of those kilos of coke you got on the table that you suggest you took from my client's house, how do we know you didn't plant it there? That would never work.
It
You would
has.
never get a client off on that.
It has worked because it has
Yeah, with
happened.
evidence. With evidence, you have to be able to prove they planted it. Trump, like I said, Trump got cameras all over Mar-a-Lago. If you want, you should easily be able to show them showing up to
But
your house with a bunch of boxes already in their hands.
the thing is, he hasn't been. There's been no court whatsoever.
No,
So
that's
he
true.
shouldn't have to. He's not defending himself in the media. That's not his job. His job is not to. We
No,
don't know. He hasn't even been charged. Now you can, like they always say, you can indict a ham sandwich. Everybody that's any good at that thing, they can indict anybody, and they can
right.
indict and make stuff. It don't matter as long as the grand jury says, "Yeah, that's good." They go for it. My thing is, you can indict it, but when it comes down to the trial, they have indicted this man over and over and over. Maybe he is guilty this time. Maybe he's not. I'm not here to say whether he is or he isn't. My thing is, they've done it so many times and then come up with nothing. And then here
I
we go
don't.
again.
I don't. See. I don't buy that Trump has been indicted a bunch of times and they've come up with nothing. I strongly believe those 2 impeachments, for instance, when you got the entire Senate blocking everything, of course you're not going to come up with nothing. There's no way in the world I look at those two impeachments and suggest you listen. Trump beat those charges. He had a fair, they gave it was a fair trial and he won, and they need to back up. That impeachment hearing was not fair. It was biased in favor of Trump. So he should have won those 2 impeachments. It was biased. The Senate was working on his behalf. With the Mueller investigation, you got Barr summing up everything Mueller said into like 2 or 3 pages and say, "Oh, the man's not guilty." And it turns out Mueller had all kinds of shit that Barr was trying to hide from the public eye. So yeah, he's beating stuff because people are helping him win. It would be like looking at, I hate to bring race into it, but it would be like looking at white folks that were accused of harming blacks during the civil rights era. Well, they're not charging the people. Of course, they're beating the cases. And that's the way Trump got it. The Senate was Republican and clearly in favor of President Trump. I mean, here's
Yes.
my example. Here's my example. When you look at the Republican senators in Congress of what they said about Trump the evening of January 6th after that insurrection, protest, whatever you want to call it, when you look at how much they were condemning him, Lindsey Graham's and all of them, Mitch McConnell, completely condemning him. And then he gets impeached for it, and Mitch McConnell votes against the impeachment. There's no way that was held properly. Go ahead.
My thing is, that it's all been politics. My thing is not here to defend Trump. I'm not saying whether all them charges are fake or not, but they've never stuck anything to him. Nothing's ever stuck. The perception, no matter what, whether you're on the left or the right, the perception is that if you're on the left, that he's been guilty of everything. And if you're on the right, hey, ain't nothing stuck. So here we go again with another thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what's happening. So what you're doing is you're getting him reelected. You say there's not going to be See,
okay,
my
you
thing
could
is,
be right. Listen, you could be right. I don't see that. I mean, but I agree that he has beaten all of the charges so far. I mean, I guess we could say the same thing to anybody yelling "lock her up" about Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Nothing stuck to her either. I mean,
and she's walked away from it.
Say that again.
Hillary has walked away from everything. I mean, myself, I think there's enough evidence to show that, that maybe she did something, but there's never been a trial. They have never gone after Hillary like they did Trump.
Well, but you got to blame Trump. You got to blame Trump. Trump got elected. He had control of the House and Senate, got elected in 2016 after promising during the debate, if I get elected, Hillary Clinton's going to be in jail. He was in control of everything. So if you think Hillary Clinton walked away, you got to blame Trump, right?
I think she walked, and I think they all walk away.
Okay. All right.
If you think Trump's actually going to go to prison,
no,
that people that believe that is crazy.
I don't think Trump's going to go to prison. I don't think there's any kind of evidence they can put out there that's going to result in Trump going to prison.
This is all about trying to make it so that he cannot be able to run for president again.
Yeah.
That's all this is about.
Well,
because they fear him. They fear him because they know and the thing is, I think if they would have left him alone, his popularity was shrinking.
I don't see that.
See,
I don't
do.
see that at all.
And I'll tell you, I live in the Midwest myself. I see the stuff. I talk to people constantly. I've gotten involved in politics in the last few years, more than 3 years. And I mean, I live in a town that is a very, very liberal, largest university in Illinois, and the University of Illinois. And I talk to so many liberals that are not necessarily pro-Trump, because that'll never happen. But they see so many things going wrong that they're going, hey, wait a minute. We got to have an alternative to what's going on right now. Because, I heard earlier in the program, you talked about the economy is getting better. The only way the economy is getting better, if you're out in the real world, that economy is not getting better. Now, you might get told.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
You're told by the media.
Let me tell you why I say that. If you look at the price you were paying for fuel in June compared to now, there's no denying gas has went down almost $1. It's not where it was when Biden got elected, but it's went down almost $1. And everybody that drives to work can see that in their direct income. Same thing, and that's going to translate to the price of heating your home and things like that. And even if you're out in the real world, you have to see that. Not to mention, particularly at the lower end of the social scale, salaries have went up. So even though the economy has went up, you got burger flippers making $20 an hour now. So there's no way you're going to tell me people haven't seen that.
$20 an hour right now. If you was flipping a burger for $20 an hour right now, and 3 years ago you was flipping a burger for $12 an hour, you were in better shape 3 years ago than you are at $20 an hour now.
I don't believe that. I would rather take it, because if the economy goes back, if let's say you get Trump in office and he gives you the economy you want, that $20 is going to remain in your pocket. They're not going to cut your salary. So I want the higher income. I don't care what the economy is doing. I'm always going to want to raise. But listen, I do got to move it on, man. Appreciate you coming through as usual.
But before you go,
the last one. Go ahead.
Before you go, the $20 an hour, we got to talk about this. All that is inflation. And number two is a big tax grab for the state or the government. It did not help the little guy. The little guy is in worse shape today than he was 3 years ago. And anybody that can't see that, I can tell you, unless you got a way to hedge against this inflation, which most people on the lower scale of income, anybody that doesn't have money in the stock market, if you have no way to hedge against your income, you lost money in the last 3 years, a lot of money and a lot of headroom. And it's going to take 10 years for that to come back around. I don't care who's president.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Good talk, man.
All right. Good talking to you, buddy.
All right. Absolutely. Come on back anytime. All right.
And our 401k is losing, says Brian. Now, certainly that is the case. Do we pretend the pandemic is not in there anywhere at all? I mean, regardless of what you think about the economy under Trump or the economy under Biden, the pandemic has to be noted in there as well. If you look at the Trump economy, he inherited a good economy from President Obama, but it got better under Trump. But if you look at the last year of Trump's presidency, from the 2000, when did he leave office? End of 2020 or January 2021? The last 6 to 8 months of his presidency, the economy was shit.
But if you think Trump gave us a good economy, then you're going to blame the last year of his presidency on the pandemic. Well, if he gets credit for the pandemic, look at the first year of the Biden presidency compared to what we're now getting into in regards to the second year. If you look at where the economy was during Biden's first year of his presidency, it started out low where Trump gave it to him, and it got even worse, significantly worse. But now it's on the rebound. And it's on the rebound quite a bit. Like I said before, this isn't June. This isn't May. Right now in September, things are a lot better than they were a few months ago. They're not where it was when he took office. But to pretend like it hasn't moved at all is being disingenuous. Fuel prices, as I keep bringing up, is one of the biggest indicators because everybody pays for gas. Everybody might not have stocks, bonds, pay attention to the Dow, or even have a 401k. But damn near everybody is affected by fuel costs. And there's no denying the price of fuel has went down. Going back to the box, Ronnie Powell. Sounds like a new caller. Ronnie Powell, good evening to you. If it lets now, it's spinning here. Let me see if it's going to come in. That's the whole world. Yeah, and folks are suggesting that what we're dealing with is also global, but I'm just going to bring it up on a American scale because we tend to lead the rest of the world. A financial crisis here is a epidemic worldwide. Ronnie Powell, it's freezing in regards to letting you in. Calvin, I'll give you the minute to see what happens. Calvin is saying that Biden is a disaster. You know, I'm not here to defend the Biden administration. It hasn't been great. Times for America have not been great under the Biden administration. I've said it numerous times on my program. The only saving grace for Biden, there's only one gift you can give Biden. This right here. This is the biggest gift you can give Biden. If this would step aside and put DeSantis, Nikki Haley, or some other moderate Republican out there, Biden would be toast. But it certainly helps the Biden administration when you take someone as controversial as Trump and put him up there. Yeah, you get a good economy, but a lot of folks are doing okay under the Biden administration. They may do a little bit better under Trump, but there are plenty of people who are not struggling and dying under the Biden administration, and they're looking at it like, I don't want the division back. I don't want, because if Trump gets elected, you can tell me if I'm wrong, come in the box, but if Trump gets elected, your humble correspondent, I believe he's going to be on a revenge tour. All of the Republicans that have spoke negatively of him did not see the election the way he said it went, or called it an insurrection and blamed him for January 6th. He's going to go after those folks. He's going to start getting involved in down ballot campaigns. I mean, he's already, getting involved in down ballot campaigns that are, putting election deniers over voting and things like that. There's a lot of people who don't want that. They believe that is a danger to democracy. They're going to put that over the economy. So even if you think Trump gave us a better economy than Biden, you have to understand there are people who are going to vote for things that are not based on the economy, such as Roe versus Wade. That has nothing to do with the economy. When you start talking about putting women in jail for murder because they exercise pro-choice options, they don't give a damn about the economy you're talking about. You're talking about throwing them in jail for murder. So there's going to be other reasons people vote that are not economy-based. And when you hear about Trump, the MAGA folks, the number one reason they suggest he should win again or should be president again is because of the great economy. But what if people aren't voting based on that? Think about that. All right, going back to the box. CMB Corrado, a friend of MAGA indeed. Always welcome. Good evening, CMB.
Hey, partner, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. What's
Hey,
up, man?
well, first of all, are you sitting good? Because I feel like you're sitting on the left side a little bit of the chair. Or is that, or maybe that's just the way it sounds over the speaker.
Well, let me make it clear. Socially, I lean left. The only difference is I am willing to call out members on the left when I think they're doing things that are wrong. Folks often on the left think I am MAGA or I am a right winger because we've gotten to the point now where we are not used to hearing people criticize and call out members of their own party. I don't have hardly any MAGA that come to my program that's willing to point to anything negative Trump does. I'm willing to call out liberals right and left. And a lot of liberals go, well, you must be one of them. No, I call a spade no matter who's dealing the cards.
Yes.
That's how it is. But I do lean left.
Yeah, no, and I just want to make sure you don't fall off the chair. That's all.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm always looking out for you.
I'm not gonna fall off the chair. I'm where I should be.
Listen, let me throw some info to you.
Make it happen.
You remember when Melania went down to the border to see the children that are supposedly locked up in the pen or whatever?
With the I don't care, do you jacket?
Okay, well that whole thing was put out there like that, but let me tell you exactly what happened. She went down there and visited the place where the children are and everything. Then after she was done there, she went back to the base, to the military base, to then get in a car and go back to her private jet to fly back home. When she left the military base, she put on that jacket, and she wore that jacket from the military base in the SUV to the plane. Now, Trump tried to actually make an excuse for her and say that it was something political or whatever. And she said no. She said no. I wore that. Yeah, that's a 2006. That's a 2016 fashion statement that actually from a company that's in Italy called Zara, Zara, and she bought that or had that since 2016, and those jackets are still available. Now, Let me
interrupt you and just say this. Sure. If you're going to check on children that are in despair, and I understand folks will readily point out Obama was separating children at the border too. That is a fact. But if you're going to check on the condition of children that are in despair, the entire time you are in that town or in that vicinity, you shouldn't put on some shit that says, I don't care. There are plenty of places that Melania could go and easily do that. Anywhere she go, the cameras are following her.
That jacket that she put on is a like Air Force type looking jacket. And
what about the lettering on the back of it? What about the huge words that say, I don't care?
That's how it came back in 2016. If you look it up, the company Zara, who makes that jacket, made it just like that. You had people in Italy, friends of mine, that have that jacket, and they actually showed it to me. And they said they bought it back in 2016. So I went on the internet and I looked it up and tried to see, where you could buy it. And it is true. That jacket is a fashion statement from 2016.
You believe that?
Well, yeah, because I did the homework. Yes, because I did the homework myself.
Okay, let me
you know what I'm saying?
This. I get
it doesn't
your point.
lie.
Let me.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, even if what you're saying is 100% true, Melania Trump was a supermodel. She was a model. She knows what wearing the right apparel, the statements it can make, and things like that. She would be more than smart enough to realize, even if this is a store-bought item, this is not the day to wear this. Hell, I'm a regular citizen, and I would not go through parts of Los Angeles wearing red because I know that it could get me in trouble. There's no way you're going to put on that jacket that day with them big-ass bold letters on it and not know that people are going to suggest that this is about these kids. Even if it was an innocent mistake, she is more than smart enough to know that that is the dumbest thing she could do. You don't see that.
But she claims, I mean, I see how we have turned it around and turned it into an issue. But if you follow her from when she left DC, She didn't have that on. And then when you finally see her with that on, she's leaving the Air Force base going to her plane. I know you don't like to hear it. I can tell by the look on your face.
Painful. It's painful because she is an intelligent. Her whole career is based on the power of apparel. Like you just said, you see how people turned it around. She would be smart enough to know ahead of time that this can easily turn around.
Like I said, Trump tried to defend the situation because obviously, he's thinking about it kind of like you're thinking about it. But she was like, no, I just wore that because I had it and I liked it. And it was a fashion statement. Had nothing to do with anything. He tried to make it about that she wore it, to tell that to the media or whatever. And she just straightforward said, no, I wore that because I wanted to wear it. And I didn't wear it. I didn't wear it until I was coming home.
Oh my. Have you seen how business professional and preppy Melania Trump dresses? She wears some good looking shit. That jacket fit if you could look at every single time during Trump's presidency that she was seen out in public, that jacket would look like it doesn't even belong in her wardrobe. It looks like nothing she's ever wore before. It looks like it was specifically picked out for the message.
Well, that's what's crazy about it is that if you look up on the computer the company ZARA, a clothing line, and you actually Google jacket that says that on the back, it'll come up, and it's a 2016 item. So that shit was around 4 years before anything.
I'm fine with the jacket. If you want to suggest the jacket was around, I'm not even going to argue that point. I'm just going to simply say, if you're suggesting that she decided to wear that jacket that day and not be able to put two and two together of how that looked, she would have to be the dumbest first lady we've ever had.
No,
I mean,
there's plenty of. That's what she was telling Trump. She told Trump that no, she didn't care, that she wore it because she wanted to wear it. You understand?
No.
It's like you wearing your favorite pair of shoes or your favorite Jordans or whatever have you. Hey, I wore those because I wanted to wear them. I mean, if I've got my red Jordans on, I'm not going to go in a neighborhood where the Crips are because, they might think I'm a blood or whatever. But, if you've got the security that she does, you do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, but to me, what she did was akin to wearing an All Lives Matter shirt to a Black Lives Matter rally. You know this shit is going to be controversial. You know exactly what people. Even if you just happen to buy that at a store and you don't mean any harm by it, you would have to be a total idiot to not be able to realize that this crowd is going to see this shirt and think it's a message. If you're making it sound like she's the dumbest person on earth to not see that.
No, I'm only stating the fact of where that jacket came from and how long it's been around. Because most people would think that she took that Air Force looking jacket and had that written on there. You know what I'm saying? They had those letters put on there. But that's because that's what most people think.
Like I said, even if you're 100% right about the jacket being around, there's no denying, and it's going to be impossible to at least convince me. Maybe folks in the audience think differently, but the notion that you're going to check on children and you wear that piece of apparel that day, and you have no clue that people are going to make people think you're saying you don't care about these children. There's no way I'm going to believe that a supermodel would not put those two things together. I don't care why you're wearing a jacket. You could be wearing it for something that has nothing to do with these children, but you're wearing it on the day you're going to check on these children. And you're going to assume that no one seeing this is going to tie that to the children you're looking at. And you're a model and you don't realize that wearing that apparel is inappropriate for that day. I don't believe she's that dumb. I don't believe she's that dumb.
No, she's not dumb at all. But
I don't believe it.
No, yeah, okay. I mean, it is what it is. I just wanted to share with the public because the public, everybody, 99.9% of everybody thought that she took that jacket she was wearing and had that stamped on the back of it. When no,
I
that's
don't
not
think this is gonna.
that's not the case.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think
And
this will
then
change any hearts and minds on that. I don't think this will change a single heart and mind on that because, like I said, she's a model. Her job is to model. She knows what apparel means. She knows what wearing certain outfits and things like that mean. And you would have to know if I put this on this day, people are going to tie it to me going and seeing these Hispanic immigrants. They're going to tie it to they're going to tie these two things together. I don't care where I bought the jacket from or how I got it or why I'm wearing it. If I wear this while I'm checking on these kids, people are going to tie these two things together and say they're connected. Anyone would know that.
But let's remember that she did not wear that till she was done and she was on her way to her private jet.
Day. It's on the same day. And it's in the same regional area. She hadn't even left. She hadn't even got back home yet. I mean, it's on. I don't. You're giving her an incredible pass on this. I don't know what else I can say. Like I said, even if everything you're saying is true, there's no way this would change a single heart and mind. It just.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't.
Right.
It's on the same day.
Okay, but the real discussion is these documents and the Mar-a-Lago raid that they did. Now, you were talking with the other gentleman, and you were talking about the FBI and the body cams and this and that and the other. What nobody is talking about is the I believe it was three. It was either a month before or 3 weeks before that that Trump at Mar-a-Lago was with the FBI and showed the FBI where he had these documents, these boxes of documents at, and the conversation, the conversation at the end of that discussion, they told him, they said, well, that's fine. We would just prefer if there's any way that you could better secure it, maybe put some extra locks on it or a metal bar or something. So, and that is all on video because that is all on Mar-a-Lago's video and the audio of it. So my thing is this: if the FBI or somebody who's head in charge enough to come down to my house and tell me and take a look at how I have my documents stored and tell me that I need to put a couple extra padlocks on it or I need to put it in my safe or whatever it is that they tell me, and I'm doing it, there's no doubt in my mind that if they would have thought that he had some shit, they would have took it long before they even had that discussion. But it's a fact.
Well,
it's a fact.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what the facts are, but we're speculating here. But here's one of the things I think where everybody is overlooking, and that is what looks like to be the apparent participation of snitches. We need to find out what people that have close access to Trump have told the FBI, because these are people that Trump that are in his inner circle. Might be Secret Service agents, might be other politicians that visit, but there's clearly snitches that are working with the FBI on him. So when you say that he did this or he did that, and it looks funky from the FBI, I'm going to speculate and say that a lot of the FBI's actions are probably based on the testimony of some snitches that saw Trump doing nefarious things that he shouldn't be doing, or negligent stuff. It might not be that he was using it to sell it to Russia. So could have just been laying the shit around the house, maybe having guests over and having a cocktail party and talking about, hey, look at this this document. Israel ain't got shit over there. It could be something like that. But somebody snitched on that man. So when we start dismissing all of this stuff, we need to figure out who that person is. Now, I know if you're MAGA, anybody that speaks negatively of Trump is a piece of shit anyway. You're not going to believe it anyway. But at the end of the day, we need to find out who's working with the FBI.
Well, you're always going to have no matter what kind of rings what kind of people you have around you or whatever, and the more important you are, the more snitches you have. We call them
Ain't no snitches
snitches.
around
Call them,
Obama. Ain't nobody snitching on Obama. I haven't heard any snitches on George Bush. Ain't nobody snitching on them.
well, Obama's got legal documentations at his house that he's taken from when he was president. Nobody's
No, he
gone
had
and
him
raided
sent
that
to.
shit.
No, he had him sent to the FBI office in Chicago, not his crib.
Okay, but he
That's
still
different.
but Trump had a discussion with the FBI about those documents, and they obviously stood in front of where that doorway was, where it was locked, and that FBI agent that was there that okayed it, that told him, hey, listen, just put an extra padlocks on her, or a metal bar going across with some extra locks on there. That guy right there obviously had, he had enough power. He was at a level where if he thought that shit shouldn't have been there, he should have called that in right then and there. Not told them, hey, listen,
Well,
that's
you're
great. You got
talking.
everything fine. Just keep it
Yeah,
a little bit more secure.
Yeah, but you're talking dozens of boxes. What if the FBI agent that told Trump to put this stuff behind a locked door did not realize he has a lot more documents than you've seen? I mean, what if the snitch is the one that actually told the FBI, this man has a hell of a lot more stuff than y'all think? We need to know what that snitch is. Also, what if the snitch told the FBI, and I know we're speculating because I don't know shit here, and neither do you. We're speculating. That's what we're doing here. But what if the snitch told the FBI, you guys made a deal with him to put this stuff behind an additional locked door? I can confirm to you, here's a picture from my phone. The door is not locked, or guys are taking documents out in the middle of the night and bringing them. We need to know what that snitch said. That's the problem. We don't know who is testifying or who is snitching against them, and we're not really taking into consideration what they could have told. We're just
And we
assuming
never will.
they told Trump. Huh?
We never will know. We never will know because we never hear the other side of the story. It's just like
Now we'll know.
It's just like Joe, looking at everybody, looking at Americans and saying that he had no clue whatsoever, no idea that the feds were going over to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
I mean, come
that.
on.
Here's why I disagree with you on your suggestion that we will never know. Is because we're dealing with Trump. If someone snitches on Trump and when that person is called to testify against Trump, if Trump finds out who that person is, he's going to out that person. This is not a typical defendant. There's a good chance we will know who snitched on that guy because he's going to tell us. Trump likes to talk. If he finds out who snitched, he's going to out that person immediately.
Yeah, but he might find out who the snitch was, but I'm saying what exactly the snitch told the feds to make them go over there and raid the place, and the whole thing was just, if it's like raiding a stash house. If you're going to go, if you're a DEA agent and you got a drug tip that they're doing some trafficking and there's a stash house somewhere, you're going to get yourself a warrant and you're going to get your ass over there and raid the fuck out of that thing. You're not going to let the weekend go by and let time go by and then just wait. Yeah, Monday I'll go raid that stash house and hopefully I'll find the drug dealers there and I can lock them up.
That happens. When you're talking about at the level of the president, they let people turn themselves in prison. They work with, when you talk about a former president, they work with them in all kinds of manners that you and I would think it's illogical to give this person this many chances. But I can see that happening on Trump. Like they said, they gave him 18 months to turn the documents, and they've been trying to get those documents back since May of 2021. And his lawyer, they're accusing his lawyer of lying and saying he does not have any more documents. So that falls in line with what I speculated, is that a snitch told the FBI, and like I said, I'm willing to admit I could be totally wrong, but I'm speculating that a snitch told the FBI This guy has more documents than you think he has. Because remember, the FBI is alleging that Trump's lawyers lied and said, we gave you everything and there's nothing more there. So how did they find more stuff than what the lawyer was saying? It's a good chance a snitch actually told him that. That is a very good possibility that somebody in his office or somebody near Trump actually contacted the FBI and said, either this guy has more shit than you thought he did, or he's not putting it behind the locked door like you ordered him to, or he's showing it around, kind of like showing the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. He's showing this shit to people he shouldn't be showing it to. Somewhere along the line, we need to find out what that snitch said.
Absolutely. I absolutely. But again, I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet my last dollar that we might find out who it is, because eventually the truth always comes out. But what the guy actually told whoever to get them to go over there, as many of them as they did, and the way they did it, it was an intimidation. It was an intimidation thing to let Trump know, hey, listen, are you going to want to be president for another 4 years? We've pretty much fucked with you ever since you showed your face the first day, and we're still fucking with you, and you're not even the president anymore, and we're coming in your house, we're looking through your wife's drawers, go back to golfing and stay retired.
Okay, well, you're adding a lot of stuff. What's so unique about the FBI? Hold on. What's so unique about the FBI showing up and intimidating everybody? I mean, that's every warrant is served with overwhelming force and done in an intimidating way. At least they didn't knock his door in like Breonna Taylor and some of these folks. I mean, at least they did talk to the man. You know how many people they've actually grabbed off the toilet while they were shitting and served a warrant? They could have done them way worse than that. You want to talk about intimidating? Go talk to some average citizens like David Koresh or some of them. They served warrants a hell of a lot worse than they did on Trump. That wasn't that bad.
Well, it's not just it's not bad that they did it. It's just how they did it.
Okay. All right. But I don't think there's ever been a warrant served on any U.S. citizen. Go ahead.
Let me say one last thing. Do you think Trump, a man of his stature and a man who's built an empire, from a small savings to what he has now, okay? Do you really think that if he wanted to take some documents and keep them away from everybody, do you think, thinking about all of the places that he owns, all of the Trump towers that he has, all of his connects that he has, do you think that he would actually put something that he wants to keep from someone there in a storage place with a little lock on it? Or do you think he would know enough to dig a foundation of a building and put the documents on the bottom of the building and build the building up? I mean, seriously.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll respond to that. I'm gonna move it on, but I'll drop you, but I'll respond to that. Okay. In regards to would Trump do this, considering he's a man of the stature, as he said, and Trump has a hell of a lot of properties and he can hide shit all over the place. I get his point. In my opinion, your humble correspondent, I believe that we are applying logic to someone who often does things that are illogical. Would a guy running for re-election continue tweeting when it's obvious the tweets are in this campaign? Trump does a lot of illogical stuff. He does a lot of illogical stuff. He speaks before talking to his attorneys, before talking to advisors. Would a logical person do what CMB just asked me? No, he wouldn't. What CMB just said, my last caller, a logical person, no, he wouldn't do that. But Trump does a lot of things that are illogical. Even my beloved MAGA, I guess we can make 30,000 likes happen. You patriots can do that, and some of you liberals. Tap your screens. But Trump does a lot of stuff that even MAGA often says that's counterproductive. That's not in his best interest. So it's hard to speculate on whether Trump would do something of any nature because he often does things that make no sense, things that are not in his best interest. Everyone seems to believe that constantly rehashing the 2020 election is not helping Trump's campaign. He's doing it anyway. He does a lot of things that make no sense. So I don't know. I don't know if he did or he didn't, but I do agree with the previous caller. A logical person would not have done that. But then again, a logical person would not just yell out the documents are declassified or anything. The whole response would be, talk to my attorneys. That's what smart people do when they are facing prosecution. They don't go on Twitter and start talking. That's some of the shit you see on the first 48 that often results in life sentences. Everybody knows that you don't speak before referring to your counsel. Trump doesn't do that. So you're applying logic to someone who often does things that are illogical. Let me go to Free For All 1982. I know we've talked a couple times. Friend of the program.
Hey, what's going
Free For All.
Hey, what's up, man?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
None at all. You've been listening in?
I have. I've been listening.
Talk to me.
So, you know, I think we all know.
Real quick, hang on. Real quick in the comments, get it 34448. It didn't put you next. You said you were next. I'll make you next. I didn't see you in there, but I will make you next. All right, go ahead,
if someone was next, I can jump out.
All right, if you want to do it, if you want to do that for that gentleman, and I'll put you on after them then.
All right, sounds good. I'll jump out.
Okay. All right. I didn't see him. Okay, it doesn't matter. I try to make sure everybody gets. And now get it 3448. I believe TikTok has a different arrangement on how they put people on here. I don't know, but we'll make it happen. All right, get it. Talk to me. Good evening.
What's up, handsome liberal? How you doing? Thank you, Free Fall. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it wasn't your fault, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna say a little something about the raid. I don't want to dive real deep into it, but I do know
Okay.
the judge that signed off on the raid is named Bruce Reinhardt. You can look it up. He gave thousands of dollars to Obama's campaign, and also he gave $500 to Jeff Bush when he ran against Trump. And I heard another person in the live like several days ago try to argue that Bruce Reinhardt was a judge that Trump has appointed as judge, but Bruce Reinhardt is a magistrate judge. They are not appointed by the president. They are appointed by district judges and other people.
What about the female? Because right now Trump is requesting what did he call the person to oversee the documents? He just had a small legal victory in regards to Merrick Garland's case, and it was done by a judge he just appointed. I guess the point I'm making in regards to what you're talking about, all judges, if you really look into their background, they're going to either be left or right. If we base every judge on their politics, in other words, if you were appointed by a liberal or if you donated money to a liberal, you cannot adjudicate any cases on a right winger. How will we get things done? They all lean left or right.
Yeah, he was also granted a special master's for this. I wouldn't say case. They say they're trying to build a case, so that tells us they had no case.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. Say that again.
He was granted a special master's.
Okay. Trump
Yeah.
was. Yeah. Trump
Yeah.
was. Okay. And he was granted the special masters by a judge that he personally appointed. A judge he
Okay.
personally appointed, President Trump, just ruled in his favor.
Yeah, that could be true, but that wasn't Bruce Reinhardt.
That is
That's another
true.
judge.
That is true.
Yeah.
Thank you for the caveat. I'm just pointing this out because you mentioned the other judge that was donating money to liberal causes and things like that. What I'm
Yeah,
saying is all judges can generally be traced back to either being right or left. A lot of them have
yeah,
donated money to right or left causes. So if you base their activity on the bench in regards to their politics, I mean, you would almost make it so that only right wingers can handle cases for right wingers and only Democrats can handle cases for Democrats because they all can be traced back to some kind of politics.
yeah. And handsome liberal. I wasn't saying
Okay.
it to say Trump's innocent. Trump's innocent. I'm just saying I was just putting it out there. Because a lot of this stuff has a lot to do with politics, even if the person's guilty. So we sometimes we got to just
Yeah.
stop, think about, yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
so
and I mean, if you are a politician and you're charged with a crime, yeah, it's going to be political. You're going to have folks that are going to say it's. I mean, it really wouldn't matter who it is, whether it's Trump, whether it's Mitch McConnell, Obama, Clinton, whoever it is. If they get charged with a crime, they're going to have supporters that are going to say this is a conspiracy or this is a hit job, and you're going to have other folks on the other side saying the opposite. There's no way to charge a politician without making it political.
and I want to start this off by saying there's a difference between a friend and a chaperone and our enemy as pretending to be our hero, especially to the black community. I want to know your take on what's your take on. I heard you brought up all lives matter.
Yeah.
What is your take on? Yeah.
All lives matter is a counter slogan. The only all lives matter is the equivalent of the Irish slaves. The only time you will hear about these is to shut up people who are talking about something else. If you don't say Black Lives Matter, you'll never hear All Lives Matter. If you don't talk about African American slavery, you won't hear anything about Irish slaves. The only purpose of those topics is to counter folks who do not want to hear about the other topic. That's the only purpose they're being brought up.
So, to my knowledge, all lives matter is kind of new. I don't think it has a history. It's a good
No, it
statement, but if they
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
yeah,
No, it
yeah,
doesn't have a history.
yeah, if they're using it now, and there's also someone's intentions now. They're using it. They're saying it just to mock Black Lives Matter. Okay, I understand. Yeah, then it's a problem. So, and here's my thing. I was on a live yesterday, and I hear black folks on here protesting against racism. That's cool, but we got to be more
Okay.
accurate, and we gotta stop giving the real racist people a pass. Now, let me tell you something. When somebody comes on alive or tells you or in public say, look, I'm white privilege. That's the equivalence of them saying white power, saying you're the lesser. You know, it, you know, yesterday, I I was on this guy's live. His name was MC Dutch 2.0. Yeah, if he's in here, I'm calling you out. If you want to get in the box and explain this after I tell Handsome
I
Liberal what happened.
well, wait. Let me first say this program out to always to ensure folks get free speech rights, which is which is what's paramount here. I always defend free speech. You don't see two boxes on here, so I don't bring two folks on here to let them argue like that because it just becomes a shot match. So that's why I always only do one person. Also, the person you're talking about, I've never heard of them. So I don't know anything about the individual you're bringing.
Well, let me explain. That he was mocking the black on anti-black on black movement, and we all know about that. If you live in certain neighborhoods, or being a person of color, like the gang banging, like it started like over a decade ago. People got old, they got tired of the killing in the neighborhood. They say, look, we got to stop. We brothers, we got to stop killing each other. Mothers
Okay.
mothers lost sons, lost kids, lost family members. They just got tired of it because they've been through a lot. So they came out with movements called against black on black crime. So he was in
Let
his
me
life.
let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. I'm gonna let you continue, but I want to ask you this. Piano Man in the comments while you're talking, and you can explain what you think of this. I'll leave it to you. He stated, "Get the chicken and watermelon out." How would you interpret that comment? While you're talking, Piano Man 181 said, "Get the chicken and watermelon out." Are you talking
Yeah,
about food?
that I think that is racist,
Okay. All right,
and I
continue.
and I understand why he's saying that because I'm not a sheep. I'm speaking the real. And when you're the real version of woke, that's when you show that's when they show their true colors. But when you're controlled by their propaganda, they push it into the black community. They act like they're your best friend. But I'm gonna continue what I was saying.
Sure,
Handsome
go
liberal.
ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah. So I was in this live in the background, just like you have stuff in the background, but in his background it said white privilege is the biggest issue in the USA. No. He said white on white crime is the biggest issue in the USA, and at the bottom it said white privilege is real. So my question to you, handsome liberal, you seem like an intelligent guy. So in a neighborhood predominantly black, where there's so much killing going on, and so the community decided to protest and on the corners, walk the street corners. I'm holding up signs saying anti black on black crime, stop the killing. If you seen a big white boy come out of a pickup truck and all of a sudden walk through the neighborhood holding up signs saying white on white crime is the biggest issue in the USA, walking through the crowd, would you assume that person is racist?
I would certainly believe they're agitating. I don't know if I would necessarily say that means that would be very similar to All Lives Matter or the Irish slaves. It's a counter slogan. I don't, other than just simply to agitate everyone. That kind of reminds me, for any of you who have seen the Bruce Willis movie Die Hard with a Vengeance, where he stands on the street corner with a sign that says, "I hate N-words." It sounds like something like that. If you ever seen that movie with him and Samuel L. Jackson, he got the big, huge sign. He stands on the corner with a sign that says, "I hate N-words." That sounds like that. The only reason why you would show up to a gathering like that and start talking about a counterpoint is just to make everybody mad. I mean, it doesn't further anything. Why are you here for that? If you think they got it wrong, there are places to debate it, but not while they're out here protesting people losing their lives. It's just agitating.
I mean, if people are protesting against, their brothers dying over some stupid stuff, and you don't even live in a community, why do you have a problem with it? How is it bothering you? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. The Ku
Did someone
Klux
do that?
No. I'm just using it as an example. But yes, there was a live. The name goes by the name of MC Dutch 2.0. He did have in the background what I said. And I'm not the one that gets sensitive and jumps to conclusion. I said, hold up, maybe he thinks there's white on white crime biggest issue in the U.S. I'm pretty sure there is white on white crime. But
he just added. No, I wouldn't even give him enough. I wouldn't even give him the time of day to try to analyze it. He's just agitating. That's just being an agitator.
Yeah, but I got in the box. I said maybe I'm jumping to conclusion. I got in the box to ask him what's his reason for that in the background. And then he said, "I'm mocking black on black crime."
No, he was being honest. He was agitating.
Yeah.
When you say I'm mocking, yeah, he's being honest. He was an agitator. That's the troll. He's just been a troll.
And at the bottom of it, he said white privilege is real. So, I mean, if that's not racist, tell me what is.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, you. Like I said, I don't know who the person is. I don't want to give it too much more time, but yeah, if might just be a good idea to stay away from that. I mean, that's just somebody just simply trying to agitate. So he was probably doing what he was trying to do, at least with you. He was trying to agitate you.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. A real racist group like the Ku Klux Klan, they got a problem with stuff like protesting against black on black crime, but when you listen to trap music talking about killing ends and this and this and using the N-word, they never complain. They never complain. But when they
Well,
when they hear a black person listen to gospel music, they got a problem. We know who these racist people are. That's what I said. I said there's a difference between a friend and a chaperone and the enemies pretending to be our hero. Because this how people get it wrong. Especially people our color complaining about racism. It's invisible because they're not aware. Like decades ago, the racist groups, their objective was to physically harm us, to show, hey, call us the N-word. It's not like that no more. They stepped their game up. It's about mind control. It's about control. So only way they can mind control you, you have to believe they're your hero. They're not just gonna lash out, call you the N-word. Because if they do that, they can't control you because they hate you. You see what I mean?
all
So
right.
it's a so back then it may have been physical slavery, but now it's mental slavery. We done got more high tech and they done stepped up their
Well,
game.
it was mental back then too, but get it? I gotta move it on, man.
Okay. And I know we got racist people in there. They like, get him out the box. Yeah, okay, I feel your pain. But
You can always listen. You can always come in here and speak. Like I said, First Amendment rights are the whole purpose I have this out here. So you don't have to be on the right. You don't have to be on the left. You can always come on in here. My house is open to you. You get to speak your point, man. Appreciate you coming through.
oh yeah, it's much love, brother, man. I'll see you next time.
Okay, I'll be looking. All right. In the box. Free for all. I'll move it on to you. I saw you say you wanted to talk to him. Like I said, I don't normally put multiple people in the box. I don't like it, where I just don't like the way it's ran like that. I've been on programs where more than
I honestly, I earnestly wanted to talk to him. I heard what he was saying, and I didn't disagree with a lot of what he was saying. I think I actually agreed with a lot of what he was saying. And I think, a lot of what we're going through these days is just I think it's a lack of people, having earnest conversations with each other. I think we're going through a lot of media and, a lot of agenda. And I think we all have a real problem talking with each other. And I listened to that gentleman and I felt what he was saying. And so I honestly want to talk to him.
Helps. It really helps, because I talk to and deal with folks on both sides of the racial spectrum. Certainly, when you're talking about whites and blacks, I will tell you most of the intolerance, and I'm not talking just from whites, I'm talking about from blacks too. Most of the intolerant people that I've encountered are people who have no friends or associates at all from the other side. And that's how stereotypes and racism can thrive, is when you can make your judgments and opinions based on little to no real evidence. If you actually have black friends or white friends and white associates and black, you start realizing the stereotypes are not real. You start realizing, well, white guys can dance, or, all white people are not rich, or all black people don't go out and rob, or all, there are black people who are willing to put in 40 hours a week and work overtime. They're not all lazy, but you have to have associates and friends from the other side. Otherwise, it's just going by what the media tells you. In the media, the whole goal of the media is for ratings, which is why you look at someone like Candace Owens. When you look at the way she describes the African American community, it's all negative. You're not going to see her talk about a graduating class that is 100% black. She's not going to put them on her program and interview them and all. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to be a rocket scientist, and you said you want to be a medical surgeon. You're not going to hear that. You're going to hear about the ones that drop out. So when you get people like that, yeah, it allows stuff to fester. But I always tell people, whether you white or black, get some friends and associates from the other side. That's probably the best way to stop racism, is to actually reach out like you're talking about. Talk to and get to know the other side.
I mean, absolutely. And I know I already discussed this, that, I've been in the military, and I don't mean to say that because I've been in the military, it it you know it kind of grounds me one way or the other. I believe that a military foundation really grounds this country's foundation. You kind of you integrate with all of the people in this country, and it
What
shows.
about? Is there any race? Did you encounter any intolerance in the military?
Yes, sir, I did. Yeah, in basic training, I did.
Wow. Wow.
So
How
in
long
basic
ago were you in
training,
there?
2002, I went through basic training in 2000. So in basic training, there was one instance that we had where there was a white guy and an African American guy that they did not get along, and there was some racial slurs slung about. And guess what those guys had to do? Those guys had to hold hands. They had to hold hands in bed. They had to hold hands in the shower. They had to hold hands in chow. They had to hold hands as they went to sleep. Those two had to hold hands the entire way through basic training. And guess what? Those two ended up the best battle buddies you ever seen. Like, those two loved each other. They literally loved each other.
I hope they didn't love each other in the literal sense.
And I thought that was the best lesson. I looked at that lesson and I was like, wow, that's the best lesson you could ever learn. Like, these two had one was from one walk of life, one was from the total opposite. And these two came together and they were like, holy shit, like, this is my battle buddy, right? Like, this is my role.
That's pretty cool.
So,
that's pretty cool. Let me, real quick, in the comments, I want you to tell me, you know who Candace Owens is, right?
I do know who. Yeah, she's an African American conservative.
Yeah. Okay, I got somebody in the comments. I just want to run this by you and let me get your interpretation of this. User 4714 talking about me suggested that I am the liberal version of Candace Owens. What does that mean? Say you're the liberal Candace Owens. What is he trying to say?
Well, here's the thing. I'll disagree with that. I don't think that you're I don't think that you're the liberal version of Candace Owens.
Thank you.
I think you are the handsome liberal version of yourself. Yeah, I know you. I've been listening over a year now. So, Candace Owens, I appreciate what she says. I appreciate what you say. And here's what the only message I want to put out is for anyone out there: stop listening to a politician when they try to tell you what you should be doing based on this. Don't worry about this. Worry about this. Don't worry about this. I don't care who Candace Owens is. I don't care who the liberal politician is based on their melanin. Who gives a shit about that? Feel this. Listen to this. You'll find out where you want to be. That's it. Hey, you know I love you, handsome liberal. I've known you for a long time. You're a smart dude.
Always good to talk to you, man. Always good to hear from you. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, anytime.
Later
Come
on.
on back through. You know you're always welcome here, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good night. All right. Looking in the comments here. The liberal Candace Owens. Wow. Suburban Black, you cruel. He said he doesn't love you. Suburban Black, be kind, man. Be kind. Let the man give his greeting. Candace is on payroll. Yeah, Miss Dean. She makes good money doing that. I've had folks tell me that. Listen, because you're moderate, you could actually make some real money if you just come on to the MAGA side. And it's like, but it's not me. If I don't agree with some of Trump's policies, I'm going to say something about it, just like I do about Biden's all the time. And even though I can clearly see parts of the Trump administration that were beneficial to America, unfortunately, being in MAGA means you can't criticize Trump at all, and that's just not me. If I am a huge proponent of free speech, I think you should be able to criticize any leader you want to. You're not going to survive in MAGA speaking negatively about any of Trump's policies. Hell, I got folks on the liberal side that refer to me as a traitor because I speak negatively about some of the things that Biden has done. I'm free speech. Some parties do not encourage free speech. Look at the Republican Party. A lot of very well-respected, lifelong Republicans have lost their entire affiliation with the Republican Party for simply criticizing Trump. I would probably give you Liz Cheney as the best example because she would have certainly, that job was hers for the rest of her life. The moment she stepped up and spoke negatively of Trump, that was the end of her affiliation with the Republican Party. I would probably use Jeb Bush as another example. He was well on his way to becoming a Republican nominee for president. Got in on the wrong side of Trump, and now he probably have a hard time running as a Florida congressperson. I mean, they threw him completely out of the party. And there's a host of Republicans that have faced that. So I'm not a fan of the MAGA side for that particular point. You know, if you want to talk about Trump's policies and things like that, there are good things there that I'm willing to agree with. But I don't think any politician should be above reproach that you can't criticize them or you instantly become, what do you guys call it, a rhino? I don't think there's a Democratic equivalent for that, but it doesn't matter who the person is. If Ron DeSantis started criticizing Trump, he'll become a rhino. That's not free speech. That's not free speech at all. You're just backing Trump. You're just back, and I don't say this to bash Trump on it. I just don't see where the First Amendment protections are in that you cannot speak negatively of the guy without being called a rhino. I mean, we're up to the point of Mitch McConnell is now considered a rhino. Hell, he stopped Obama from appointing a Supreme Court justice and helped Trump survive 2 impeachments. How the hell does he get labeled a rhino? Mitch McConnell, do you know how much shit? As a liberal, someone who has nothing good to say about Mitch McConnell, but I can say this: he has been invaluable to the Republican Party, just like Nancy Pelosi. My right wingers do not like Nancy Pelosi. She's a hell of a lot of money for the Democrats. A whole lot of Democratic politicians hold their offices to Nancy Pelosi. She's been instrumental in getting Democrats elected. Mitch McConnell is kind of the same thing on the Republican side. How is he a rhino? How the hell does he become a rhino? That makes no sense to me. That all of that can be ignored just simply for criticizing Trump. Just that's all he did. Everything else on his resume is stellar. When you look at Mitch McConnell's resume, if you were to ask, what do we often say? Well, what has Biden done for people, or what did Obama do? If a Republican were to ask Mitch McConnell, what have you done for Republicans? He can give you a printout longer than a CVS receipt. How the hell does he become a rhino? That makes no sense to me. Anyhow, folks, unfortunately, I got to end the life. I got to get up and go to work in the morning, just like a lot of you hardworking folks out there. I always make it clear. Appreciate the fact that you guys are rolling with me. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. So I'm always appreciative when you are rolling with me. I don't ban, I don't block, I don't censor. I'm on at 7 p.m. Central. Most nights. You might not like my Democratic Dinette set or my liberal lounger, but my house is always open to you. You guys have a good night. I'll catch you again tomorrow. Yeehaw! Appreciate it. Who said that? I want to say that real quick. Get a shout out. Who said that had the mustache? Was that Nola Tick? And I see, Nola Tick. If I'm saying that name correct, appreciate that, man. Thanks for sending me out like that. Much love to you. You guys got me almost up to 40,000 likes. None but love to all you folks. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good evening. Stay safe. And unfortunately, my device is not working. Okay, there we go.